It is 6:02 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I am Justin Hawkins. Tennessee Titans head coach Brian Callahan has maintained his stance that both quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Will Levis, will split reps this offseason and is not a rush to name a starter. Yesterday, Callahan met with the media and talked about being more cautious heading into this year.
You live and you learn through some of them. You make adjustments, you grow, you do things differently, and certainly there's parts of that I learned lessons in, and I've learned to move forward, and you try to grow and do it better the next time.
In other NFL news, NFL owners yesterday voted to permit players to participate in flag football at the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, which allows any player on an NFL contract to try out for a flag football team. Today, it is expected owners will vote on the Packers' tush-push ban and the Lions' playoff reseeding proposal. In Tennessee basketball news, Zakai Ziegler is suing the NCAA over rules limiting him to 4 seasons in a 5-year window as an unlawful restraint of trade under both federal and Tennessee law. And Tennessee baseball has their first SEC tournament matchup set in Hoover. The Vols will play Alabama this afternoon with first pitch set at 1 p.m. on SEC Network. Junior Marcus Phillips will get the start on the mound for the Vols. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday morning, welcome to the midpoint of your week. Good morning. In beautiful Music City, USA, the sun is shining. It is a great day to have a great day here on Ramon and Will. We are fueled by Scooter's Coffee, locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. He is the 11-year NFL veteran, Ramon Foster. Justin Hawkins is our producer. I'm Will Bowling on Wednesday, May 21st. Good morning, Ramon.
Hey, what up, Will Lee?
How we doing?
Living today, man?
We are good.
Right quick. I always that's my childhood. Let me do something right quick for the people that made it out yesterday with those storms and tornadoes. I think it was a little bit lower than Sumner County yesterday. So hope everybody was all right, man. Not sure if I know you had a long hangover yesterday.
Monsoon yesterday in Murfreesboro. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like sheets of rain. Truly is the best way to describe it. Like sideways sheets of rain and then like ominous tornado sirens behind it. It was a day. It was pretty crazy.
I got an Amber Alert that there was supposed to be baseball-sized hail, so luckily that did not happen. But
I saw it on social media.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Somebody held up their fist next to one of them. It
was in Franklin.
They were serious this time. I didn't see anybody post car damage or whatever, but I couldn't imagine filing that and how much of a headache that would be to your insurance, too. But I from that storm, we got sideways rain and stuff yesterday, too. No flooding like we usually get in Sumner County that I could see. Not like the last few times we've had this type of rain, but I got a problem in my driveway, Will.
Do you?
I do.
What's the problem in your driveway?
I got a problem in my driveway, man. I got a tree that's alive, but its roots are out, like pretty much out of the ground.
Oh.
It's leaning like Michael Jackson in his music video.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a smaller one, okay? It is a smaller one,
okay.
But I got to figure this one out because it's like technically on my line, but like on my neighbor's line too.
Okay.
So like cutting it down is, it needs to come down now.
Which way is it leaning? Important
Towards
follow-up
my
question.
driveway.
Ooh.
Towards my driveway. And it's got like damage at the bottom. I don't know when that happened. It looked like it either like got rotted out by termites or something. I don't know what it got rotted out by, but it's leaning big time. It's the one from the last storm that got pushed the opposite direction and came back down. So that's probably what did it. And I got 2 dead trees too now.
Goodness. It's a tree graveyard.
It is a tree graveyard.
Over at the Foster household.
And I'm nervous, right? Those 2 trees are actually on my neighbor's property, but no leaves on it, and it's also got poison ivy growing up and down it too. It's one of those oak trees, I think some people say, where like they're like mostly going to be removed from Tennessee. Like it's a tree in Tennessee that's diseased and it's getting eaten up by like this beetle or bug. And like last year, all these trees were filled. This year, none of these trees are alive, Will, and I'm nervous.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know much about trees. I need to branch out and learn more, but that's not fun.
Yeah, no, it's not fun. And you know how expensive trees are to get cut down?
No.
Very is what I would tell you.
Goodness.
I've heard it like one single tree can cost you $1,200 to depending on how much. Like, it's not. I thought it was like $400. Like, we'll cut down 4 of these. No. Some goes like 1,200, like 5,000.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Thank you.
I actually like
You didn't
that
even
one.
catch my first one, so I had to really emphasize the. Yeah, I said I don't know much about it. I need to branch out.
Oh, see, I was in
that
like
was
homeowner
too
mode,
smooth.
right? That was real good. That was real good.
I'm barking up the wrong tree. That's my bad.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Look, as long as trees have poison ivy, they deserve to die. I'm allergic.
Yeah, it's crawling up big time. It's big
Interesting.
time. And I don't like that. And it's mostly if they fall, they're gonna fall on my driveway and my vehicles. Yeah, we
Not
got
fun.
a problem. Yeah, we got a problem here.
All right. Well,
I'll figure it out.
we'll monitor the situation.
Yeah, we'll monitor it. Yeah,
We need to
monitor
get
it.
an arborist, whatever they're called, over to the Foster household.
I need to endorse one at this point.
Yeah, you do. Come on.
I mean,
615-737-1045. If you can fix Ramon Foster's leaning Michael Jackson tree, call us.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. You did have to finish the call yesterday, and you had a lot of other stuff going on yesterday too, my brother.
Yeah, the state track meet, the sheets of rain flooded everything like in the field and knocked over everything. And we probably wouldn't have gotten started again until like 8:30 or 9 last night. We probably had 2 or 3 more hours left of running over at the state track meet. So we will restart at noon today, and I'll probably get done around 9 p.m. today. So if anyone else at the station is hearing this and needs me today, no, you don't. It'll be fun. No, there's a lot worse ways to spend a full day than watching the sport that I love. So it's certainly not a complaint. It'll be a good time. But I may be on air today more than I have been alive and awake. Maybe not alive. I've not been dead for 10 hours before. That's probably the wrong word to use.
Yeah.
But I'll be on air for a long time today. That's all right. It'll be fun.
Yeah, no doubt
It'll be a
about
good
it.
time. That's what the job requires sometimes.
So you go
I
back
signed up for it.
to your childhood when you and your brother Wes used to call games
That's right.
in the living room.
That is absolutely right. I don't know if I ever expected to be on air for 10 hours in one day, but we're going to try it out today and see what happens.
I feel like Denzel and Remember the Titans. Will, are we having fun now?
It's not fun anymore, is it?
It's not fun
No, it's
anymore.
not. It's not fun anymore. Yes, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So we
no,
are.
sir. No, sir. Not having fun anymore.
By the way, gotta be the best sports movie. Like realistically not overdoing it. Maybe the Sunshine part of the movie where he just hopped out the car and threw a ball.
See,
at
we're
somebody's
going into
head.
ultimate summer sports talk radio topics already.
know,
It's
I
not
know.
even Memorial Day yet
Yeah, no,
to do the
you're
sports
right. You're right
movies
about that
topic.
one.
But I'm with you. It is a very
you
good
do
one.
have an awesome topic though that you told me you was gonna speak about now or later.
Look at you.
Scooters.
No, yes, this one is fantastic. So yesterday, I scooted on down to Scooters, Sam Ridley Parkway location, Smyrna. Shout out on the way down there, right off the interstate. If you're ever making that trip from Murfreesboro to Nashville or Nashville to Murfreesboro, right off there at Smyrna, good way to kind of take a break from the Murfreesboro traffic anyway. Yeah. It's an excellent, maybe midway point, close to midway point of that drive. The S'mores Cold Brew. Yesterday.
Yeah.
At Scooter's Coffee, tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. It sustained me in a day where I needed a lot of caffeine.
Yeah. Good though. You talking
Very
about this?
good. The coffee is like good quality. I hate going to coffee places where like you get all the flavor and then when you're done with the flavor, you're kind of getting the coffee and you're kind of disappointed. That is not the case at Scooters because it goes perfectly with like the marshmallow, little graham cracker and chocolate. If you know me, I love anything s'mores, like anything. I love s'mores flavored things. So I would start off my morning with black coffee and then as the day goes, I allow myself to get a flavored coffee. Fantastic. So if you're around Smyrna this morning doing that drive like many people do between Nashville and Murfreesboro, scoot on by the Smyrna Scooters location. You'll absolutely love it.
Man, that's awesome. I love how you like pace yourself out throughout the day too. Like in the morning.
Yes, there's a process.
Yeah, I get that one, man. Why end your day with like black coffee? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Unless it's from Scooters.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself at the end of the day, man. That makes sense to me, Will. I told you this weekend I was surprised and also happy to see one in Covington, Tennessee, too.
Yeah,
like Scooters.
they're everywhere.
Y'all are moving around.
For sure.
And I'm here for it, man.
No doubt. So it was good. And I learned there are flavored Red Bull mixers.
Yeah.
So the orange vanilla Red Bull will be seeing me today.
You're going to have to
Scooter's
point me in
Coffee.
the right direction on that one because I'll be quite honest with you. I used to like love Red Bull.
Yeah,
And then I
I can
got
see that
like
for you.
the taste of it. Yeah, the workout. That was a workout drink, Will. But now I need to figure out the different ways on how to have it. I'm into that, man. And I'm
Very good.
more than likely I'm going to see you Thursday, too. My niece is running in state also, who's committed to Marshall. So shout out to Dior.
Thundering Herd.
My
Bartlett High School.
Yes, absolutely. It's my brother Rodney's daughter, man,
Nice.
who played at Memphis. And
Fantastic.
she just graduated, man. Super excited to see her this upcoming Thursday. And I'm glad that she committed to Marshall. That's huge.
I love it. You could be a guest analyst up there with me in the booth.
Don't
on
tempt
Thursday.
me with a good time. You know I'll come up there, Will.
Nah, you probably got enough of me on these airwaves. You don't need to join me in any others.
Now, see, the question is, if you invite me up, how much of a microphone presence can I have? Because I feel
As
like
much as you want.
the presence is
We get
inviting
Ron
me
Slay
up.
involved. We can get a whole booth
That's
together.
what I'm saying. Like, that's where I'm at.
Don't
Like,
Tim know this is with a good time.
what I've learned is Savage is expected to be in the booth with us this fall with Vol Network, okay? So I feel like I need to impose upon her booth for the track meet. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he
love
will
it.
be in the booth with us for sure.
I love it. 615-737-1045. We stream the show live at 1045 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Coming up this morning, Ryan Shumpert of Rocky Top Insider from Hoover, Alabama at 7:20. We'll break down Tennessee, Alabama in the SEC baseball tournament. Take a look at some of the other games going on in Hoover as well in hour 2. Rhett Bryan at 9 a.m. as always on a Wednesday morning. We'll break down the NFC West draft classes with him as we continue our trip around the Titans' opponents for 2025, what they did in the NFL draft with Rhett over these next couple of weeks. But when we come back, Titans fans finally got to meet their new left tackle yesterday. We'll tell you what he had to say that we thought was particularly interesting, plus what Ramon Foster sees on film from the now former Steeler and current Titan, Dan Moore, coming up next.
Having a good time. I'm having a good time is what I'm telling my guy right now, man. But also, if you want to have a good time in your backyard, listen to me. It's Ramon Foster. This is where All-American Pest Control can help you. I was done with mosquitoes ruining my backyard fun, and I found a solution to you. Let me tell you about Mosquito Max from All-American Pest Control. All-American's Mosquito Max is your one-stop proven solution for mosquitoes and year-round pest prevention. All right, save money and say goodbye to itchy bites. All Americans Mosquito Max includes monthly mosquito misting, spider web removal, and perimeter pest control around your home. So make the change and finally enjoy your backyard. Don't let mosquitoes ruin your summer. I'm sure not going to let it happen to us at the Foster residence. All right, so go to yuckbugs.com. That's yuckbugs.com and make the switch to All American Pest Control today.
Ramon Will, 104.5 The Zone, fueled by Scooter's Coffee, whether it is a s'mores cold brew, a Red Bull, a cinnamon roll, they got you covered. Scoot on down to a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. So new Titans left tackle Dan Moore never had an introductory press conference with the Titans. He essentially got one yesterday. Ramon Foster talked to the media. I know you have gone deep into the archives on what he did well and maybe what he didn't do well that we're going to get to in the 2024 season.
Yeah, no doubt. It was fascinating hearing Dan speak a good bit. And you knew this. As soon as he was able to face the media, the first question was he was going to be asked, and rightfully so. Tell us about the sack number. And I thought that was appropriate. I thought Dan handled it well too. But what I like about hearing him speak yesterday, he didn't run away from it. He somewhat attacked it, owned it also, tried to point in the direction that his quarterbacks allowed 1 or 2 sacks. But for the most part, he absolutely owned it. But I'll also say this too. He mentioned some stuff before we get to his tape, because we went through his sacks reel a little bit yesterday. And one thing that he did bring up is something that you see on a couple of those sacks. Like he was saying, Coach Bill Callahan is teaching him how to read coverages. He's teaching him how to see the DBs and the secondary and stuff like that. And on about 3 of his sacks, if you can read the defense and linebacker level, he could prevent those things to happen. That is one of those things as far as like an offensive lineman. Like it's not just the dudes that are in front of you. It is where the linebackers set up at versus where they usually are in this set.
Interesting.
Are the corners down? Where's the safety at? Is it 3 over 2? Well, if it's 3 over 2, then I know you have the ability of going inside. Like these are the things that you diagnose. And he mentioned that he didn't get those things in Pittsburgh. I will say there's conflicting reports on Coach Pat Meyer up in Pittsburgh as far as how he teaches, what he's teaching and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I'm not in that room, Will. It's just what I've heard and been reported upon that it may not be as good as the way Munch would teach or as good as Coach Bill Callahan would teach. And there's levels to coaching. You know that too, Will, and almost any sport, you know?
Right. So here is Dan Moore talking about the learning curve and how he is new to the system here in Nashville and Bill Callahan style.
Yeah, there's a learning curve with everything. I mean, terminology, technique. I'm still learning as it is. We got rookies coming in. I'm helping them, but like I said, I'm still learning as I go. Obviously, I'm not new to the craft, being years in the league, but just new to the system and new to Bill and his style of play. So, you know, he's coaching me up, and I feel like he's doing a great job.
But by opening day, you feel like, I mean, you should be well versed in it and ready to go.
I would like to say so. I better be.
So that's left tackle Dan Moore talking to the media yesterday. Ramon, from O-line coach to O-line coach, where does terminology in teaching change? What is going to be different about Bill Callahan's style and what he wants from linemen here?
My bad, I had my mic off. Probably the detail more than anything. And more times than not, the words remain, well, the plays remain the same. It's the words that you switch up a little bit. So Dan should be mostly familiar with what the concepts that they are running for the most part. This is his first time in a brand new system. So the terminology that he's asking for, okay, so and instead of saying Ray, they might say Rainbow or something like that. Instead of saying Lenny, they may say Larry. You know, it's those types of terminology as far as spelling at the line of scrimmage, just a little bit different. But in totality, he shouldn't have to switch up too much. It's just ingesting a whole new offense and potentially the schematics of it more than anything. I will say my biggest switch in offense was from college to the NFL. Like, I knew the running plays were similar. I just had to change the names of them as opposed to what they were in college. Protections, that's where it can get a little bit tricky for you because it goes down to the responsibilities. But here's what I would say about a guy like Dan or the expectations from his positioning. If you understand the schematics of the way the structure is set up, if there's a running back on my left side, and that means that the right side, that they're the strong side in that sense right there. You're on the backside, weak side. So there's a lot of that goes into it. He should be in a position to where he knows where the slide is going, where the running back is at. The words, you'll catch up with those later because at this point, he should still be correlating what Pittsburgh has done and what he learned there to what he see to translate into what the Titans playbook is, and eventually drop those words off at some point in time. So it
makes sense.
Yeah. He should still be translating what Pittsburgh did to how he's learning with the Titans.
So it sounds like from what you're saying, a lot of the differences come in the checks made at the line and the communication from the quarterback.
Yes. So we used to have a Lenny, Larry, and a Liz. Okay.
Is that run
Which
left?
way are we going? That's pass protections.
Okay.
So yeah, Lenny could be run and pass.
So you're basically, are you shifting over one gap?
And it starts with the mic. So you're
Gotcha.
right. You're technically right. So the mic, Lenny. And we go over to the left linebacker at that point.
Okay.
Liz would be a full slide. Larry could be just open side, left guard, left tackle sliding that way.
Gotcha.
Center go right.
Interesting.
So it would be
Makes sense.
Roger Ray.
Yeah.
So it's those types of things right there. So depending upon how far they want them to slide out and responsibilities of the protection is where you get the understanding of the offense, the terminology more than anything. Because one of the most confusing things to me was, what was it, Larry versus Liz. So the center's not coming with us on Liz. Oh, I mean, not on Larry, but Liz, everybody go. And the way, you know how I learned it? It's the Z at the end of Liz. That's all of the alphabet, so everybody goes left.
Fair enough.
Does that make sense to you?
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah, the Z means everybody's going with me.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and if it was Larry, then it's just me and the left tackle.
So Dan Moore was quickly asked in this press conference, hey, you gave up some sacks last year. The numbers weren't great. And Dan Moore responded with this.
Yeah, I mean, the film that I looked at, I mean, numbers games, I mean, it says how I gave up however many sacks, but, I mean, you look at technique, you look at the film, I'm in front of defenders, and that's what I'm focused on doing.
So one thing I've learned about spending time with offensive linemen is regardless on if the PFF numbers are right or regardless on, if there is a, good reason why sacks were allowed and you weren't great, you guys don't live in that world statistically as much as receivers and running backs that have factual, without a shadow of the doubt, stats.
Yeah.
There is nuance to a sacks allowed number for offensive linemen in a way that, like, I can't contest whether a wide receiver made a catch, usually, if you're Des Bryant. I can't contest if you got 20 rushing yards on a play. That was a 20-yard play. Good job. Get back in the huddle. Let's go again. The offensive line, there is more nuance to it, and clearly Dan Moore feels more confident in his ability in what he showed on film in 2024 versus what PFF and the numbers say about the amount of sacks that he gave up.
Yeah, it is. And it can sound like it's excuse making. It really can when you speak to offensive linemen about sacks and stuff like that. And I fully get that and understand that too. But there usually is, Will. It is, where's the running back at? Okay, did something change in the protection that I just simply got tricked on? Or did the defense do something differently? Did the quarterback run into a sack or two, which is what he somewhat alluded to from times. And the reels that I saw, 2 of those sacks could be on the quarterback. So if I told you it goes from 12 to 10, does that make it better? And then if I tell you 2 more of those clips, 1 belongs to the guard, 1 belongs to the running back, then that takes him down to 8. Is 8 sacks better than 12 as far as his contract goes?
Certainly is.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of that goes into it, but that's why the position that's the reason we publicly, as former offensive linemen and current ones too, go at guys that judge our position. Because it's more than just, he gave it up. Like, you can get got sometimes, and that's fine. On Dan's tape, I wrote you guys the notes and breakdown. I want to see if we can use that Twitter post.
Yeah.
And I can give that breakdown of what I saw on each one of those plays. And some of them just plainly Dan.
So what is the overall story on 12 sacks allowed? That's the worst of any tackle in the NFL last season, according to Pro Football Focus. Which, again, we give the caveat is not gospel, does not mean without a shadow of a doubt he was at fault for those 12, especially considering he had Russell Wilson playing behind him, who was notorious last season for not getting the ball out. What was the biggest issue that you did see on film that he is going to have to correct?
His pre-snap diagnosis. That one, and when a defender does a jump hop to get around him.
Okay.
So if he's kicking out to the left side, they get his left arm and his feet will stop. And they turn the edge on him a couple times to get a sack. I think Trey Hendrickson got him like that. 99 from Baltimore got him like that. And a player from Kansas City got him like that. And that is all technique. I'm thinking to myself, where are your hands, where are your feet at? That's why, like, feet and arms, like, you got to be able to reach out and touch somebody to stop that. Now, his arms got collapsed. And I'll be quite honest with you, too, Will. Sometimes you just get beat. Like, do we excuse that? And you just say.
In the AFC North, certainly, with some of those guys you have to go up against.
We just, and think about his guys, Baltimore's rush, Cleveland, and Cincinnati, too. So, and then another one, Will, was, it was silly, to be quite honest with you. 2 times against Philadelphia and against the Raiders. The defensive end, if he'd have read, if Dan Moore had read the linebacker's feet, where they were a little bit wider in the alignments, or if he'd have looked outside at the corners or two, and then recognizing he's on the open inside. What I mean by this is him and the left guard. Nobody else.
And no tight end to help chip or no running back, I guess, to help block on that side.
Exactly.
Right.
Where in those moments can you not get beat at? Inside. You can't give up the quickest pass.
Makes sense.
You can run them around the corner, but do not allow to beat them inside. And the cat from Philly and the cat from the Raiders at the snap beat him. And that was, he was trying to be aggressive.
Right.
His feet are good, but in that moment where D lineman, and it was so, I'm sure on film he said, I'm an idiot. He should have said, I'm an idiot. Because if you saw the linebacker's alignment, it was wider than it should have been. You knew the linebacker had outside contain. Right. Those are the nuances that you hope Coach Bill Callahan is teaching him. Where's his feet? It's more than just his DN. So that was fascinating to see.
12 sacks allowed, 5 penalties last season for Dan Moore, again, according to Pro Football Focus. And I think your breakdown is interesting because it sounds like these are fixable mental sides of the game. And Dan Moore, I think the important caveat to this, Ramon, although he is a free agent signing, is 26 years old. And that is where, when we have discussions about, to throw out a name, Anthony Belton, the draft prospect this past season out of NC State at tackle, a day 2 draft prospect. The guy's, I think, 24 years old. And it's interesting how we talk about draft prospects, albeit older ones, as more moldable and, as moldable talents and guys that can get better, that can learn new things. But we so often give up on guys who are 25 who have been in the league for 3 years. Easy. And Dan Moore at 26 is far from a finished product. I think that's what gives you hope as a Titans fan, that you spent $20 million on a left tackle that gave up 12 sacks last season. Yeah, but there is potential there. And clearly from what you're saying, it sounds like a lot of these things are fixable and more on the mental side of the game. Yeah. The important distinction I want to make, though, here is this is not the kind of mental fix that Andre Dillard had to make.
No.
Because bringing in Andre Dillard meant you needed a guy to mentally just lock in to being a pro. Hearing Dan Moore speak and analyze what he did or didn't do well last season, this is a low bar to cross, but he's still crossing it anyway. He cares.
Yeah.
And he's locked in, and he's understanding of what Bill Callahan wants from him. I don't know if Andre Dillard ever had that kind of mentality to kind of lean into his weaknesses and learn how to fix them, because he just was not mentally tough enough to overcome a lot of his weaknesses.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
This is not an Andre Dillard situation.
No. And it was fascinating, too, he was later asked about, J.C. Latham. And what's fascinating, too, is Dan Moore's only one of the few fourth-rounders to start all 16 games as a rookie, too. And that's another feather in his cap as it pertains to, how he came into this league. You got to think, he's a fourth-round draft pick that has started since the day he walked into the NFL. Right? So that's that part of it, Will, too, to where you got to learn on the fly. Fair. And he mentioned that with JC a second. He was just like, what you can't do when you play early is lose your confidence. He was like, that's one of the biggest hurdles. He was like, it's probably more mental than it is physical when you got to, kind of learn by going through fire in that sense. So I'm with you there. You don't have to. I feel like when Coach Monchak came in year 5, year 6 for me, Will, I took another step. And that's because of teaching. That's because of the concept. That's because the wisdom that a guy like that can break you down inside of your room, challenge you daily at practice, which we know is what Coach Bill Callahan does too, and made you a whole lot better. I have to give Coach Munchak a lot of credit on that one, not just for me, but the entire room.
Right.
Because I love my previous coaches, but none of them can touch Munch.
Different level. And Bill Callahan is on that level.
And with Dan Moore hopefully having this foundation already, you're hoping that side of it for him is what he's saying after this year. Like, yeah, that was the best thing to happen for my career.
Sure. Yeah, I think some Titans fans will hear excuse making, kind of like you mentioned.
Yeah, it sounds like
when
it.
He says, like, hey, numbers say I gave up sacks. Look at the technique. I'm in front of defenders, and that's what I'm paid to do. Were his words there. But I think that's less about making excuses and more about there is not a black and white way to evaluate offensive linemen that is foolproof. Yeah. Because even on the plays where you guys do get beat on the O-line and you probably do have a sack allowed to your resume, there's still a story behind that on the way it probably could have been avoided. The thing for me is, how much does Peter Skoronski playing next to Dan Moore help him not get beat inside quite as much? And it's no disrespect to what the Steelers had going on last season as well, but you have a first-round pick now playing to your right, and you have a number 11 overall pick that I think has a very, very high level of expectations going forward into this season as well. How can those two together build a left side of the line that you can be proud of here in Tennessee right away?
Yeah, not just the left guard with Peter Skoronski. Isaac Seumalo is pretty solid. He's an established veteran that he played next to last year, right? But what I will say, the center that they had in Zach Frazier, a young guy, and they lost James Daniels early in the season to an Achilles, if I'm not mistaken, too. So they had a young center and a new guard, and that pocket collapsed. Quarterbacks were flushed out because of that at times too. So having a better, in my opinion, guard, center, guard triangle should help out the tackles a whole lot more than I think people will recognize at that point. The solidification of the middle of the pocket, to your point, Will, should help those tackles keep defenders wide and a lot firmer in the middle, which is why, again, we're seeing the trend of NFL teams pay centers and guard a boatload of bread. It's a different emphasis right now. What you got planned next in your next statement? Nothing really?
No. What was it?
I just want to give like the first two plays of a clip that I found of his 12 sacks last year, right? The first two was Overset was too aggressive. That's the one from the Raiders that he just got beat inside. Overset too aggressive. Seems to believe he could sell the play action hard because he had inside help from the running back. Could go to the running back. So that was that one play where he overset, and the protection will say, you can go attack him because the running back is inside. Running back wasn't ready on that play. So I'd probably go half a sack for him, half for the doggone running back at that point. Does it matter to the people that's watching it? Probably not.
Yeah, right.
Because it still was a sack. Dan got to play inside out now. Play two, bad play. I said it. All his fault. A quick jump, the D end, wrong at that point, and the guy beat him inside. If he's smart, I said peep number 5, the linebacker on this film. He was lined up wider than he should have been, which told me from playing that position, that guy has contained and DN can do whatever he wants. We had a two-way rush, and Dan overset and got beat inside. And I also put easily correctable. He probably got cussed out big time in meetings from that play. Yeah. Because you can't, son, what are you looking at? That's what I would ask him. Did you not look at the linebacker? Why is he that wide? Well, why did you jump that wide? Did you not read and diagnose the play? And that's why, offensive linemen have to be smarter, and I say this with a lot of respect. They have to be smarter than defensive linemen because it's not just reacting. It's seeing and diagnosing before the play. You got to be a calculated, smart thinker to play that position, on top of the physical side of it of the game that you got to play with.
How much quickly does the quarterback help you diagnose those things in the huddle or in just pre-snap? And what he's trying to adjust.
I'll be quite honest. That's on him, and it's on his technique, too. Because here's what I would have did.
Him meaning Dan Moore.
Dan Moore,
to diagnose where the linebackers lined
because,
up.
once Cush point out the mic, everything else is on y'all at that point. Gotcha. So what I would say, what I would do differently in this situation would be this. One, Munch technique had us at vertical in those spots instead of kicking outward. Set vertical, play inside out, and protect your inside presence right there. That's very correctable.
Comment on YouTube says you can't get this deep on ESPN. Another comment says we're getting coached up today. Great talk. Very good stuff from you on the offensive line.
I wanted
you
to
know
give
a
an
thing or
answer.
two about playing that position.
And I also vouch for Dan in a sense, not from the front office perspective, but like I feel the same way as you. Dan is 26. If we believe Coach Callahan is that good of a teacher,
Sure.
the platform that he's coming to Tennessee with, we should knock that 12 down is what I think.
Right. It's a calculated risk you're taking by paying him as much as you are, but it allows you to not have to use more first-round draft capital on a position where you kind of have to use first-round draft capital, which is left tackle.
Yeah.
615-737-1045 is our number. Headlines in college football yesterday where one neutral site rivalry in the SEC will have a new temporary home, and I don't like it. That's next.
It's Ramon for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Good people. Nobody wants to deal with a plumbing, HVAC, or electrical emergency at all. I'm telling you, I understand. I've been there too. Most of the time, we don't even know what it's going to cost or if it'll get fixed right, or if somebody's just trying to sell you something you don't need. When you call Hiller, their experts are going to solve your problems quickly, man. And the price you're told is the price you'll actually pay too. There's no hidden fees, no surprises on your bill when you get your bill. Absolutely not, man. And Hiller's been here in business for over 35 years and are family owned and operated. Their techs are professional, experienced, and trustworthy, and they're all background checked and drug screened. And when they're on their way to your house, you'll receive a photo of the tech and a link to track them so you're not wasting time waiting around for them to show up. The guarantee is this: happy you'll be, the service is free, and they mean that. I myself am a user of Hiller too. So what I would tell you this: to learn more to book with the company that I trust, simply visit happyhiller.com. It's a great time to shop Genesis Diamonds now before tariffs cause price hikes on imported diamonds and jewelry. Yes, it's Ramon Foster, and Genesis is not raising prices on their pre-tariff inventory. So all in-stock merchandise is an incredible value right now. Genesis prepared for the tariffs and made a lot of overseas purchases way in advance. Handcrafted rings, exquisite diamonds, colored gemstones, and a ton of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. If you've got any special occasion coming up in the next 6 months or so, you need to get into Genesis right now before the pre-tariff merchandise is all gone. Genesis is always going to be the value leader here, regardless of what happens in the world. They were built on that foundation, but it's way beyond price. It's their selection, their quality, outrageously good customer service, which I appreciate, their industry-leading warranties, and don't forget, Genesis is the exclusive retailer for all the top names in bridal jewelry, too. The brands other stores can only wish they could get. Genesis Diamonds, where you always get more for your money, but especially right now. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Ramon and Will, fueled by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. So Georgia and Florida are going to play starting in 2026 outside of Jacksonville. So Jacksonville, like the rest of the AFC South, upgrading their stadium in a big way. We're about to have the best division of stadiums, by the way, in the NFL in the very near future.
All four of them.
Jacksonville with a $1.4 billion renovation being done to its stadium down there. Of course, the Titans building new Nissan Stadium, Lucas Oil and NRG Stadium. Going to be very nice.
Yeah.
What we have to display in the division. Well, that affects Georgia, Florida, who, of course, play the cocktail party. Well, now they're going to play it in Atlanta in 2026, in Tampa in 2027. Josh Pate put this out yesterday and said schools will do anything to not play in their beautiful, expensive, renovated stadiums themselves.
Yeah.
We need more games on campuses in college football. We really do. And this is one that I get is an exception considering the tradition in Jacksonville. Georgia and Florida had an opportunity to finally take this game on campus, and they still refuse to do it. So they'll return to Jacksonville from 2028 to 2031. The kicker is, Ramon, they will receive $7.5 million for their 2026 game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Jacksonville will pay each school $3 million total during the 26 and 27 seasons while renovations are completed. A&B Sports and Entertainment, Arthur Blank's group, the ones that are involved with making sure they get paid.
Oh, wow. That's big time right there, man. Well, we're chasing the dollars at this point, man.
100%.
We're 100% chasing the dollars. And also this, too, like how much, I guess, every team goes through this in the SEC. I was about to say, how crazy will it be on campus if you allowed it to be on campus? Well, I mean, Tennessee, Alabama's on campus. I mean, you got Auburn, Alabama on campus. Like, those are the things that make sense. But I guess with this one, Will, with this series, I think you have a lot of outsiders as if it's a bowl game. So they want to have the ability to have it on an NFL lot, which I think is a little bit more comfortable. Other part of it, though, too, is they're trying to expand. That's essentially what it is, their fan base. I think this is more of a marketing than anything to allow people that won't want to come on campus to be allowed to come spend basically NFL dollars at this point. Like, this is, to me, I think somewhat pandering to the NFL crowd as opposed to it being a small campus event because it's bigger than just a campus, I feel like. I do like the idea.
Right.
I can understand being on campus. I'm with you there. But where can they set up the world's largest cocktail party in Athens? Logistically.
So, well, here's the kicker to it, in my opinion, because it's less about the stadium and the other stuff. Like Athens would be able to house tailgating.
You think so?
I mean, they've had bigger games.
Okay.
There, it's the fact that both teams can host recruits.
There we go.
So if you're giving up the ability to play in a neutral site game, and you're going home and home for 2 seasons, even just for those 2 seasons, you're losing an opportunity to have recruits at that game every year in Jacksonville.
Because this is almost like a joint venture for them.
Yeah,
right?
it is. It is a joint venture.
Yeah, it's a joint venture for them. That makes sense.
So now they get to expand their territory into Atlanta in 26 and in Tampa in 27, where essentially you have like slight, like not quite totally neutral, but you have slight advantage sites for both teams for back-to-back seasons. I just think that on-campus games are so superior to neutral site games in college football. It's part of taking away the personality and the tradition and what makes college football different, putting it in, for lack of a better term, a sterile NFL stadium that just has no personality to it.
I will say, any game that Georgia plays in Atlanta is a disadvantage to the opposing team.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Now, that part of it, I'm just like, keep it in Jacksonville away from Georgia and Atlanta because that turns into, I'm talking about a super recruit team. I mean, super recruiting weekend more than anything. I like the idea of them doing it on campus, but here's where I'm at. I see the dollars making more sense to them ever wanting to do that because the world's largest cocktail game is more than just that. Like, I know people that are like, the way they're buying out suites, they want to make it in a luxury event more than anything. I will suggest, though, too, have it inside. I've heard it is unbearable in Jacksonville when that game is going on. The amount of sweating you're going to do and how crazy. So I can only imagine the amount of vendors that are being bought, to bring in to host it. But it's also, driving on Athens campus sucks, though. It was by far one of the worst, I felt like.
Really?
Like, ways to get to a stadium than almost anywhere else. Like, even worse than, like, going on the West End for Vandy. Because there's so many turns. I felt like the streets were tight, crowded.
It's very much a college town.
It's a college. Yes,
it's just
I'm
a little
complaining about a college town, but like,
right.
yeah, it's a college town. So I think as big as that game has become in the event, they got to spread it out a little bit.
So Kirby Smart has talked about this before. The caveat to the way recruiting works there, they can use tickets to give to recruits, but they can't talk to them. Which makes no sense, which he's spoken about publicly to be like, yeah, we can say there's a ticket at the gate, enjoy the game, but that's really all we can do. So interesting. But that to me is the interesting part of it is like, would you rather have, another game to have athletes come to?
Yeah.
Or would you rather have one less game every other year, but the game that you do get, you can actually talk to them? So the recruiting part of it maybe isn't as much of it. I just think teams also are looking for any kind of revenue they can.
Yeah, I think
and the $7.5 million to play in Atlanta or in Tampa, not insignificant.
Yeah, no. And then there's the other part, too. NFL owners are very willing because they got to find ways to make money inside that stadium, too.
Right.
Chick-fil-A is going to be booming on that Saturday. and then and Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Facts.
That is the nice part about when teams play in Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Saturdays versus the Falcons, who Falcons fans can't have the Chick-fil-A.
They cannot have the Chick-fil-A.
On Sundays in the stadium.
I look at it almost like a partnership with both of them, with Jacksonville and this one. Yeah, it's that.
It is the one example of where I think a neutral site game has tradition and personality to it that makes sense, but not in Atlanta or Tampa. Yeah. Like, this isn't the personality of the game. Like, this was your opportunity to do something different, and you failed, Georgia and Florida. You failed.
You wanted it on campus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 2 years.
For 2 years.
Just try it out. I think the best case scenario for that game is have a 3-year rolling schedule where 1 year it's home, 1 year it's home, the next year it's Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Then the next year it's a home game, next year it's a home game, next year it's Jacksonville in the 3 sites that you could have it.
I'll be real. To your point, I'd feel slighted if Tennessee, Alabama wasn't on campus.
And for a while it wasn't. It was Legion Field in Birmingham for forever.
Yeah. I would much
Until the 90s.
Yeah, I would long for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be begging to have
Peyton Manning play number 1 to Joey Kent in the 41-14 game in 95.
Yeah.
Legion Field, Birmingham.
I get that.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, they should try it out. They missed this opportunity, but I get it.
Like, imagine the 2022 Tennessee-Alabama game and that celebration for Tennessee in Birmingham.
We not tearing down goalposts.
Wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah, no.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the goalpost's still going in some river, but not the Tennessee River.
What I will say, NFL security's way better than college. So I don't think you would have been able to.
Well, that's not NFL, though. Birmingham.
Well, Birmingham. Never mind. I'm thinking of Atlanta. Like, if you can't tear down a goalpost in an NFL stadium. Is what I'm getting at. The theatrics and celebration of it
Sounds
will be
like
a
a
whole lot
challenge.
different. I mean, listen, I'm not going to be the one up on that goalpost, but if somebody wants to run down there, Will, there's a lot of AI defense in NFL stadiums. So, hey, at your own discretion.
615-737-1045, hour 2 coming up. Brian Callahan says quarterback reps are being split evenly over at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. We'll talk about that next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. If you have been looking for cars and you see the words buy here, pay here, maybe you have been looking elsewhere. I'm here to tell you why there is one place you can go that's got the best reputation in the market. That's my friends at Nolanville Road Auto Mart. They're different for a few simple reasons because they have been doing business in Nashville for 61 years. They're Nashville natives that only sell clean title cars under 12 grand. So if you're new to town and you need that place to trust here in Music City, they have got you. Maybe you're looking for that first car for the 16-year-old in your family. They can do that for you as well. Give Nolansville Road Auto Mart a call at 615-242-1279. And if you don't just want to take my word for it, check out their Google reviews. Excellent, which is saying something for a car dealership. One location on Nolansville Road, close to Thompson Lane. They will get you in and out in an hour or less. And they're the oldest buy here, pay here in Nashville. They'll work with you on financing if you got it. Flexibility, transparency, and honesty. That's why I recommend Nolansville Road Auto Mart. Give them a call at 615-242-1279.
It is 7:02 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I am Justin Hawkins. The Tennessee Titans are closing in on Phase 2 of offseason programs, and the rookies now have had practice time with the veterans. Head coach Brian Callahan is quickly noticing rookie quarterback Cam Ward getting comfortable in the offense.
Cam has done a really nice job of integrating himself and knowing the play call, being able to spit it out in the huddle, having the tempo, getting familiar with the receivers and what the words mean and how to call it and how your snap count sounds. All that stuff has been really well done on his part.
In other NFL news, NFL owners yesterday voted to permit players to participate in flag football at the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. Today, as it expected, owners will vote on the Packers' tush-push ban proposal and also the Lions' playoff reseeding proposal. In Tennessee basketball news, Zakai Ziegler is suing the NCAA over rules limiting him to 4 seasons in a 5-year window as an unlawful restraint of trade under both federal and Tennessee laws. And Tennessee baseball has their first SEC tournament matchup set in Hoover, Alabama. The Vols will play Alabama Crimson Tide this afternoon with the first pitch set at 1 p.m. on SEC Network. Junior Marcus Phillips is getting the start on the mound for the Vols. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Ramon and Will, the 104.5 The Zone, fueled by Scooters Coffee, continues into hour 2 on this Wednesday morning. A beautiful morning in the Music City. It is sunny. It is 63 degrees. The vibes are immaculate, Ramon Foster.
Yeah, they are, Willie. Man, we went outside, I always like to say bust the block real quick. Just go to the balcony.
Bust the block.
Bust the block real quick. Just
How does one bust a block?
Man, just take a walk, Will. That's all it is. Take a walk to the block, man. That's all we doing. Do a lap. You can say it that way, however you choose to, man.
Sure.
Bust a block, man. Let's go bust a block real quick. That's all we're saying. Take a lap.
Ramon Foster, Justin Hawkins, Will Bowling with you. We'll be joined by Ryan Shumpert of Rocky Top Insider, setting the scene for us in Hoover, Alabama, the home of the SEC baseball tournament, which got started yesterday and will include the Tennessee baseball Volunteers today. Brian Callahan yesterday, Ramon, says that quarterback reps are being evenly split over at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park right now. He says they're roughly about even all the way through, which is pretty standard for this time of year. Any surprise there to you?
A little bit. I'll be quite honest with you, because it's usually the starters get a little bit more and stuff like that. But I guess he's trying to take this as a true competition and respect all guys that are in it. That's one thing some coaches do is they acknowledge, like, we got 4, 3 probably gonna make it. Hell, at this point, probably 2. Because we don't know what the structure of this Mike Berganzi team is gonna look like with Chad Brinker. How many guys are gonna keep it at position? I was shocked to get to the final answer that they're splitting it evenly at this point. How and why?
So, at what point does Cam Ward take over QB1 reps for you?
Stuff gets more serious at minicamp. Minicamp is the true dry run of what an in-season practice is going to be like, the focus on what you're trying to get done in that time. You got a little bit more time on the field. And it to me, Will, is it sets somewhat the softball of like what the starters potentially are going to be. If I was going to those practices right now for minicamp, I would try to see what the 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s look like and how many reps they get. Mini camp is when it gets a little bit more serious for me because that's when every vet has to be in town too. All hands, as they like to say sometimes, is on deck.
Brian Callahan mentioned yesterday the Titans will begin Phase 3 of the offseason next week when the offense will compete against the defense in practices for the first time. The team is currently in Phase 2. Callahan saying we're not really competing right now. It will change probably a little bit when we get to the OTAs, like you just said.
Yeah.
And we have 7-on-7 and some teamwork and stuff like that. But right now, we're not really going against anybody, so we just roll through it.
Yeah, that makes sense, then, if that's the case. Because the linebacker said it too. Cody Barton, yeah. Cody Barton said it too. It's like it's just defense on defense, shells versus each other right now. So that makes sense. And it's easier for the coaches to do that because they want to have a flow of the practices whenever they get on the field against the defense. So everybody's got to be taught the same right now.
And so for people that don't get what you mean with defense versus defense, literally you mean defensive players are lining up as like scout team offensive
wide
players.
Receivers, yeah.
And walking through a different look, and you're slowly coaching, hey, when they give you this, and we're in this coverage or in this defense, you're going to go here, you walk there, you walk there. All right, now let's jog through it, guys.
That's your
Let's
baseline.
Go.
Yep,
Right.
that's 100. This is the teaching and coaching part of the of the offseason right now, where they can really ask a lot of questions. They can be one-on-one with veterans as far as like young guys and veterans, like, hey, what would you do? Or this is where being a good teammate, which is a big emphasis right now for this offseason,
Right.
being a great teammate is allowed to teach up the young guys and pass on stuff this time of the year.
This was the Callahan quote yesterday about the quarterback reps.
Right now, it's all evenly split. We're not competing right now. It'll change probably a little bit when we get to the actual OTAs and we got 7-on-7 and some teamwork and stuff like that. But right now, there's, we're really not going against anybody, so we just roll through it. They're probably roughly about even all the way through, which is pretty standard for this time of year.
So next week, when Phase 3 does begin, is Cam Ward QB1 already?
I would think so. Although it sounds like he's trying to fight it. I would just go ahead and just break the seal, man. Just go and put him as QB1. You somewhat hear guys speak about him as if it is him at this point. You're listening to Dan Moore, which Dan Moore runs with who? He runs with the ones. He's talking about Cam Ward and the command of the huddle and stuff like that. We're getting the answers. I feel almost like, again, they're trying to put blinders over us and tell us, no, this isn't real. Like every offensive player that's come up there has somewhat said, hey, Cam commands the huddle pretty well.
Mm-hmm. There was an interesting quote from Dan Moore about that we're going to get to in the third hour.
Yeah.
We talk about some of the leadership stuff that Brian Callahan talked about yesterday. But hello?
The Emu.
I just got attacked by Limu Emu.
That was a random ad via YouTube.
Come on, Limu. We're having a nice time.
Hey, the ass got to pay the rent, man. Got to pay.
That scared the crap
It's
out
not
of
Monday,
me.
but still.
If you listen, yes, Jay.
Justin.
Well,
I just wanted you to know who Limu Emu was. We don't need to know what ad it was. We just want to know who Limu Emu is.
well, they were treating
Limu
you.
Emu that is crazy.
It was treating you like Doug right there, man. And Doug.
That's what I get for trying to find another audio clip.
Limu. Wow.
Jay, go to the corner,
You
man.
never know on a Wednesday morning when you can just get kneecapped by an ostrich.
Hey,
Just whatever noise they make. Just
Emu.
looking over my shoulder for Limu now.
It's been established we both are Doug now at this point. We got treated like Doug. Look at everybody now. Everybody's like reacting to it. That is awesome. You don't even know what your point is anymore.
Gosh. All right.
I'm just going to make a drop of that so that we can replay it every now and then.
Yeah. Right. Maybe that's what we play when callers go on too long. Limu's coming to get you.
Emu's coming to get
The
you.
emu's coming to get
Hey,
you.
dog. And you will be not making chicken wings out of him. Okay?
No free shout outs, but that's a free shout out.
That was good, man.
Start playing the Jaws theme. Dun.
Hey.
Here comes Limu.
Ron Slay in the YouTube chat says, Jayhawk just letting folks know he's in control.
Yeah, that's right.
You better
That's
believe
right.
I am in control.
It sounds like
Limu
Jayhawk's
Emu.
not in control. Limu Emu was controlling Justin.
Yeah. And Justin. Yeah, that's what we got right now, man. Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. With the night that you had and the one you got to have today, that woke you up. That woke you up.
No, I'm awake.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no doubt about that. I'm just a little scared. I'm looking over my shoulder
Man.
for emus now.
Start mentioning Callahan if you want to again. The emu gonna come out on you, dog.
What is the difference between an emu and an ostrich?
Lower to the ground, right?
I don't know. That's why I asked.
Emu is way smaller, from my understanding.
Really?
Yeah, they're way smaller to the ground. They're like
The very not exact AI overview on Google says emus and ostriches are both large flightless birds.
Yeah.
Ostriches are the largest birds, reaching up to 9 feet tall, weighing over 300 pounds. See, look what we've done. While emus are smaller, reaching up to 7 feet tall, weighing up to 125 pounds. Okay.
I know my exotic animals, man.
Do you know where emus are native to versus ostriches? They have different continents they're on.
South America for emus.
No, Australia.
Australia.
Emu. It's an emu in
no.
Australia.
Stop.
And then ostriches are native to Africa.
You got me over here speaking like I'm Australia. Emo. Well, hear me out.
Clip that.
Hear me out. Don't clip
With
that.
Ramon Foster.
We good. Speaking of exotic animals, man. So I'm in Dyersburg this past weekend. Crockett
What
County.
in the world kind of exotic animal
let me
is in
get my
Crockett
Brent
County,
Daughtery on
Tennessee?
right now, man, because you've made me go Brent on this one. Brent just go squirrel. That's me right now, okay? And that's my dog. Yeah, emu. But I'm driving down, and dude, we were having conversations as a family driving to my niece's graduation. And I was like, man, there's a lot of land out here. You can just own anything. Guess what we saw? Zebras.
Oh.
We saw zebras
In
in
Crockett County?
Yeah.
In this economy?
Hell yeah, absolutely. But I will say, we were going by that open car petting zoo. Have you seen that in like Crockett County area?
No, I am not familiar with the petting zoos in
trail.
Crockett County.
The safari trail you can go on. Like oh my gosh, we got to take a trip. We got to go take a trip. Yeah.
Why would I be familiar with drive-through petting zoos in Crockett County, Tennessee?
Oh my gosh, I mean, yeah, dude,
that is outside my portfolio and expertise.
It's the safari petting zoo situation, man. I don't even know what to call it at this point.
I feel like when you get outside of big cities and you go into local petting zoos, that's just the guy in town with the most animals. That's not a petting zoo.
Really?
That's just some guy that says, "Hey, y'all want to see some animals I got out back?"
Yeah.
And you go out and you touch them and you say, "Kids, don't get too close."
Yeah, I can't wait to go. We're taking a trip. All right, we'll take my truck. Okay, we'll take my truck for protection. But we're going to go pet some zebras and feed some giraffes. Is what I'm telling you. I saw some giraffes out in West Tennessee. Well, I didn't see the giraffes. I was looking for them. But the zebras were in full effect. It was awesome, by the way. Yeah, see? Diana's telling between Jackson and Dyersburg. Yeah. We taking a trip. This, like, if Bert them went to the zoo, hell, look, I'll drive us down there. It was awesome, Will. We're going to see an emu, too. I know we will.
Oh,
and
that's
Doug.
great. And yeah, and Doug will be there too. Vandy Man on YouTube says Lemu's taking over first team reps over at Titans.
We know that wouldn't be true.
No,
right
that's
now.
in phase 3. 615-737-1045 is our number. Ryan Shumpert, a Rocky Top insider, will talk some Tennessee and SEC baseball with us from Hoover, Alabama, coming up next.
And Hawk.
That was good.
Hey, it's Will Bowling here for my friends at Lee Company. Hey, are you looking to check some items off your home to-do list this summer? Maybe you're just looking to freshen up your home's look before hosting friends and family in the coming months. Well, available 24/7, 365. The Lee Company handyman professionals have you covered. From pressure washing your driveway or deck to drywall repairs, landscape lighting, painting, and more, Lee Company is all you need. You can visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com to schedule your appointment today, or you can call them at 615-567-1000. Hey, if you're like me, you end up trying to do things around the house. You're trying to fix some stuff, make things look better. Oftentimes, you just end up making things worse. And if you want the very best players in your team, you got to call Lee Company. They have been in business for over 80 years here in Middle Tennessee. They are trusted members of our communities. Give them a call, 615-567-1000, or check them out online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. Ramon Will, the 104.5 The Zone is brewed by Scooter's Coffee, locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Ramon Foster and Will Bowling joined today from baseball heaven, Hoover, Alabama, where Rocky Top Insider's Ryan Shumpert gives us a couple of minutes this morning. Ryan, I thought we were going to be getting you ready for a 9:30 Central Time start. We got you lined up early in the show. Well, now the game's later. Coffee on us today. Scooter's Coffee on us today in Birmingham. What's going on? Appreciate you joining us this early.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy to join the show. And no, you call it baseball heaven. And there's two guarantees in Hoover. It's that you're going to see some really, really good baseball, and there's going to be some weather delays. So
yes.
Par for the course. No big surprise with that.
So, Ryan, today, Marcus Phillips getting the ball for Tennessee against Alabama. Maybe Marcus, the bright spot last weekend against Arkansas, the way he kind of managed the run game and was able to improve. How significant was that improvement, and how much more hope do you maybe have for Tennessee today, considering the way he looked last week?
I think it's a big deal, and I think, some of the stuff with Marcus Phillips and his slow delivery isn't going to change. Like, it's going to be some level of an issue, but I know Tony Vitello and Frank Anderson had really been harping a number of things, like throwing over more consistently, staggering his delivery time and when he looked over, and it felt like he did a much better job at that. Now, Arkansas runs, steals bases, about the lowest rate in the SEC. Alabama doesn't do it a ton either, but a little bit more. So I think more than anything, this will be a good test for him to see if he can build off of last week, build off of holding runners, because when he throws next in an NCAA tournament regional, it's going to be against a team that's more aggressive on the base pass than Arkansas was, and likely will be more aggressive on the base pass than Alabama today. So he's a guy Tennessee is going to need to be good in the NCAA tournament. When it comes to just getting guys out, he has been pretty good this year, but things have certainly spiraled for him in Tennessee in a couple of games because of his inability to hold base runners. So today, a big test for him to kind of keep building in the right direction ahead of the NCAA tournament.
Ron, staying with Marcus Phillips right there, man, because it's very interesting with him, because all reports as far as his pre-draft, I guess, ascension has said that, like, he's made a lot of money as far as the MLB goes. But is that something as far as his delivery and his slow delivery that you think he'll try to come back next year to try to correct that, to go up even higher, or what as it pertains to his pro status?
My guess would be is that's something he'll work on in the minor league levels. Obviously, if he falls further than he expects, it wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world if he came back for another year. But at this point, my expectation is that he'll probably sign with a professional team this summer. And that is kind of the funny thing that, it's been such a big talking point for anyone that follows and covers Tennessee, his ability to hold runners this year. But besides that, he has been really important for Tennessee. I think has had, even with that, probably the year you would have hoped for with Tennessee, and certainly I think he's made himself a lot of money in the MLB draft this summer because of it.
Ryan Shumpert of Rocky Top Insider, our guest from Hoover, previewing Tennessee, Alabama on the diamond today at the SEC baseball tournament. So, Ryan, if Tennessee is able to go on a run this week in Hoover and maybe put themselves in position to be a host again in the NCAA tournament regional round, what has to happen? Who's got to get hot in order for this team to get back to the best version of themselves?
I think I would point to the guys at the top of the lineup. I think they have four really talented hitters in Gavin Keelan, Andrew Fisher, Hunter Ensley, and Dean Curley. And really at no point in SEC play has it felt like they've had all those guys going at the same time. If they do that, and the back of the lineup, which is really young and isn't great, but I do think continues to grow over the course of the season and has had more and more competitive at-bats and productive games, if they can get those guys at the top putting it together all at one time, I think Tennessee has the ability to make a deep run. I think you can't lean on your pitching a ton. At least you can't lean on your top guys from a pitching standpoint in Hoover, just because you're not going to push the envelope too far with those guys a week before the NCAA tournament. You're going to have to play a lot of games. So I kind of view it as a situation where Tennessee's going to have to outscore some teams if they're going to make a run to the semifinals on Saturday and certainly the championship game on Sunday. And if they can get some consistent production from the top guys in the lineup, I certainly think that's doable.
Ryan, why don't you think the Tennessee pitching has been up to their standard this year? What has kind of let them down in that regard? No, the defense has not been up to standard either at times, but why hasn't Tennessee been as deep in that pitching staff as they have been in years past?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're right. The defense has been bad, but there's been other years you could point to the defense being bad too.
Right.
And it hasn't been as big as a deal for the pitching staff. I think the thing I would go to more is Tennessee brought in about 4 or 5 junior college arms. And I think before the season opener against Hofstra, I would have projected 2 or 3 of those guys to be pretty consistent good arms for Tennessee, and really none of them have panned out. Austin Breedlove throws some. Brandon Arvidsson throws most weekends, but neither of those guys have been great. Neither of those guys have been very consistent. Ryan Combs, the younger brother of Aaron Combs, is a junior college addition. I thought he would have a big role in this bullpen. It just hasn't panned out for him this season. So that's probably what I would point to from the depth standpoint. You know, there's been some areas at the top that they haven't been maybe as good as I projected or as they hoped coming into the season, but I don't think that stuff's been overly drastic. I would point more to a number of those junior college arms not panning out this season, and because of that, they've really lacked the depth that I think they certainly had last year when they didn't really have a great starting rotation, but they've really had that depth most years under Frank Anderson and Tony Vitello.
Ryan Strumpert of Rocket Top Insider is with us this morning. Ryan, I feel like one thing fans hate to see or go to a tournament like the SEC tournament in football, in basketball or baseball or the way NBA games or NFL games are played at times where the starters kind of pull out a little bit. And I felt like there was a case about 5 years ago for the SEC tournament in Hoover for baseball to where, all right, we just want to get out and go rest our arms. I feel like as of late in the last couple of years, we've seen that shifted to where the SEC tournament for baseball in Hoover has gotten very competitive. What changed that, in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think some of it is just seeing the results. You've seen, I think, some teams that do really well and play really deep in the SEC tournament in Hoover have a lot of success in the NCAA tournament. I mean, there was a couple-year run there where it felt like the teams that did the best in Hoover struggled in the NCAA tournament, and then kind of vice versa. Like I know the year Mississippi State won the championship game. I think they got run-ruled in both their games in Hoover, and they go on to win the national championship. So I think that's a part of it, and I think you'll probably see that maybe all the more so after obviously last year Tennessee won in Hoover and then obviously won the whole thing in Omaha. So I think that's a big part of it. You still have some of it where, again, nobody's really going to push the envelope on pitching too much. I don't think anybody's going to want to throw any of their main arms over 100 pitches or anything like that. But all those guys are going to get work in, and it's just, as Will said at the jump, it's kind of baseball heaven in a lot of ways, where there are a lot of guys that are going to be playing in Major League Baseball that will be in Hoover this week. And I think that just leads to the competitive juices flowing. And once those get flowing, I think you have the opportunity to see some really good baseball.
Ryan, are they also in a position, man, where they've kind of dropped these series as of late as far as the SEC play goes, losing 2 out of 3, not getting swept, right? But do you think they feel the pressure to kind of overprove themselves as far as this SEC play to try to go win it all?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I certainly think there is a big-time eagerness for this team to have some success. I don't know if that necessarily looks like having to win the SEC tournament, but I think we're in some years past, like 2 years ago, Tennessee dropped, was one and done, lost to A&M. I don't think that was the end of the world for that team because they had, even though they'd struggled a lot early in the season, they had turned it around and played really well the back half of SEC play. I think detrimental or, a massive deal, maybe not, but I think it would hurt this team to go one and done, just because I think they need to see some positive signs, some positive reinforcement going into the NCAA tournament that they are moving in the right direction. And, you felt like you had that last week at Arkansas when they won the series opener with Marcus Phillips on the mound. They had Liam Doyle ready to go the next day. You felt like that was a series they were going to be able to grab, and then it slips away from them in a rare, poor Liam Doyle outing. So I don't know if it has to be winning the entire tournament, but I do think this team needs to see itself have some success this week, just from a confidence standpoint, given how things have gone the last 6-7 weeks in SEC play.
Ryan, is it fair to say, or do you even make this correlation that the SEC schedule beats you up in baseball. Like Texas's coach, if I'm not mistaken, mentioned winning the regular season is harder than winning the national championship. And do you view this schedule as being grueling, or it's just a matter of who got better discipline and better recruits when you look at this, the way the season unfolded in the SEC? Because I don't think Tennessee is bad as losing all those series, but they did.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit of both. Like I scoff a little bit at Jim Schlossnagel's comments about it being harder to win the SEC than the national championship. I don't really think that's true.
Yeah.
But it is grueling. It is really difficult. I think next week when Tennessee is in a regional, they will benefit from not playing SEC competition. I think they will, and we'll see where they get sent. But most likely, I think they will probably play a team that is worse than a number of the teams that they've played to and lost to down the stretch of the season. So it is grueling. It is really challenging. I mean, you just go back and look at Tennessee's schedule the last month and a half. Almost all those teams are going to be regional hosts, and all of those teams will be in the NCAA tournament and be top level 2 seeds at the very worst, or at the very least. And Tennessee does have the talent. They are better than they've shown the last few weeks. I think it's about them having some consistency, cleaning up some of the stuff defensively, holding base runners, running the bases. And if they do that, you combine that with playing a little bit, at least the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, I think a little bit lesser competition. Sure, this team is definitely still capable of making a run in the NCAA tournament.
Ryan Shumpert, a Rocky Top Insider, our guest. Ryan, on that front of some of those other teams that you've seen a lot of these contending SEC teams that have gotten hot late in the season, in Arkansas last weekend, and Vanderbilt and Auburn, and even a pretty good Kentucky team that I know hasn't had the season they wanted either. Who has impressed you of the opponents Tennessee has played down the stretch? Is there one team that kind of stands out that you feel like is hottest at the moment and most dangerous to make a run of those Tennessee late season opponents?
I would probably say Arkansas is the best team, I think. Like their lineup with how deep it is has a lot of similarities to what Tennessee had last year and Tennessee had in 2022. But when you talk about just who's playing the best baseball right now, I mean, I think it'd be hard to not say Vanderbilt. They have a little bit of a, I don't know, team of destiny feel to them or whatnot, where, the pitching's been good for Vanderbilt even the last couple of years when they've struggled. And I think they had that again this year. And even entering the Tennessee series, you looked at them statistically, the offense was not very good. It wasn't terrible, but it still had some of the weaknesses that it's had the last couple of years. And that offense got going that weekend, hit a lot of home runs, and that's continued to the last week of the regular season against Kentucky, where, 3 straight home games on bookending the road trip to Tennessee. They won on walk-off home runs. So Vanderbilt's a team, I think, playing really, really well right now, as well as any team in the SEC. And I'm not sure they would be my pick from the conference to win the national championship. But when you look at Hoover this week, I think it's hard not to like Vanderbilt with some of the pitching depth that they have and the way they've been hitting the last couple weeks.
Ryan, important question on the way out. Do you know the difference between an emu and an ostrich?
Nope. I both know they got long necks.
Exactly.
And I guess they're different things because there's the emu in the insurance commercial.
Yes.
But I couldn't tell you what the actual difference is.
See, we accidentally got ambushed by the emu commercial while we were during a segment right before you came on as we were trying to get a YouTube video up. Yeah. Just make sure that everyone in the press box today knows at Hoover that ostriches are larger, up to 9 feet, emus up to 7 feet. That's how you make your exactly. That's how you make Mike Wilson jealous that you were on with us this morning and he was not.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If I see one out in the wild in the greater Birmingham area this week, I'll be able to spot the difference. I'll bring out the tape measure and see 7 feet or 9 feet.
Perfect. Yeah, outstanding. Perfect.
No, just go with us. We're going to take a field trip to West Tennessee to the safari, okay? That's what we're going to do. We're going to pet an emu, just so you know. All right, Ryan?
That sounds great.
All right. I love it. Ryan Shumpert covering Tennessee baseball today, taking time out of watching Cam Ward propaganda on Titan social media to cover Tennessee and Alabama today. Ryan, we appreciate you, sir. Thank you, man.
Ryan.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
All right. There's Ryan Shumpert with us here this morning talking some Tennessee baseball.
It was good, man. By the way, man, he gave a major shout out to Vanderbilt right there. That's not a bless your heart or pat you on the back, but
no,
he spoke
they deserve
truth
it.
About that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fascinating to see them kind of circle the wagons again right now with the standards that they've had over there.
I love it.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Good stuff. Today at the SEC tournament, Mississippi State and Texas A&M, Tennessee and Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss, Florida. Winner of Tennessee-Bama gets Texas tomorrow, where Liam Doyle would be expected to go for Tennessee. The winner of Georgia-Oklahoma would get Vandy. Winner of Ole Miss, Florida gets 2-seed Arkansas, and the winner of Auburn's game against its yet-to-be-determined opponent will advance to match up against LSU.
Who does Georgia have again? Georgia
has Oklahoma.
Georgia, Oklahoma.
It's a lot of red.
Okay, yeah, it's a lot of red. Georgia's got a real good team. Well, they got a lot of talent, like
there's
every
so
SEC
many.
team.
Yeah, for sure.
Devin Obey, I know him because his brother plays at RJ at Ensworth. He moved from Duke to Georgia, and his father was telling me about how good that team is, and they've proven that. If Georgia gets Vandy, which Georgia came in town and swept Vandy, if I'm not mistaken, during the series, I think that's correct, or vice versa. That's going to be a real good rematch. That's going to be a real good grudge match right there between those two.
Georgia and Vandy this season, that was a Vandy sweep.
Vandy sweep got Georgia. That's going to be a good rematch if they can get that one.
That was kind of Vandy's turnaround.
Yeah.
This season. Because Vandy had just been, they'd just lost the series at Oklahoma, including a 14-0 run rule loss in that Saturday game. And then the next weekend is when they took a sweep, took the brooms out against Georgia at that point.
They did. And Georgia was cooking before they came to Nashville then, too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So that's why I had to ask Ryan, like, legitimately, like, are the Vols bad or is just the talent that good in the SEC? And I think it's
a little bit of both.
The talent's, they in a bad stretch, to your point, but
for sure.
The talent is supreme.
A little bit of both. We have got updates from NFL owners' meetings this morning. The NFL expected to approve an extension for Commissioner Roger Goodell. Plus, Ramon, I think finally we have a verdict on the tush push. It's getting close. I'm looking forward to the time where we no longer have to talk about the tush push.
Yeah.
But we'll tell you what that verdict is coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Low T. Good guys. Hey, fellas, listen to me, man. If you're over 40, listen up. If you're running low on energy or just feeling off, lowtcenter.com is where you need to go, man. Get started with testosterone replacement therapy or short-term TRT. And join lots of guys who've gone through the same things as you, man. Low T Center has clinics all over the Middle Tennessee area, and they're super easy to get to. I know it's one in Brentwood, one in Gallatin. So they got you covered, man. You can walk in, see a real medical provider, and get your energy back. No complicated process, just results. Guys, tell me, set your T levels up so you can get going the way you want to again. And right now, you can get a free consultation if you qualify. Treatment is covered by most major insurance, and it's an affordable way to check out your testosterone and just kick your life off to a good start, man. So go ahead and head over to lowtcenter.com and book your appointment. That's lowtcenter.com. Simple, quick, and totally worth it.
Ramon Will, 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up the first half of your Wednesday morning. Halfway through the Wednesday morning, Ramon, it's just the midpoint of the week. So we're 15 minutes away for the midpoint of the entire week.
We were there.
Made it already.
We got distracted big time on a break right
Yeah,
there.
we did. I'll get to that in a minute. I'll tell you why I was distracted coming up. But I want to pay off what we were going to say right before the break from Diana Rossini on the tush push in the NFL. We'll see you later, tush push. R.I.P. in peace. Diana Rossini, The Athletic, hours away from the owner's vote surrounding the future of the tush push. I'm told both the league's competition and players' health and safety committees have voted to ban the play. Despite the Eagles' best efforts, the tush push is likely on its way out, sources say. Ramon Foster, your thoughts?
Who's gotten hurt from the tush push?
That's a great question.
I don't think anybody have more than the quarterback sneak play. Like, if you told me on that play that Jalen Hurts is getting, I'm talking about tattooed at the crown of his helmet on that play because he's a runner, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's problematic.
Sure.
This, to me, is the quarterback sneak to me. This, to me, is a reverse to me, essentially. If you can execute it, you should be able to play. This isn't like what we heard our guy Cortland Finnegan speak about last week, where this is the wedge on kickoff return. Like, we're not asking guys to run, 20 miles per hour into a wedge on kickoff return. This is a play that I feel like anybody in every team is capable of running. So why? There's no trickeration to it. If we can run a sped-up offense, right, West Coast offense at the line of scrimmage with pacing, this is essentially that, except we're running the football at that point. Is it because you don't want it to be predictable on first downs?
Right.
It is. Every team is capable of this. I don't like the fact that they're trying to move this play away.
I don't either, but to be honest with you, I'm happy it's getting banned so we can also ban talking about it.
I get that.
I'm so tired of talking about the tush push.
It shouldn't even be a talking point. It shouldn't.
I agree.
It's almost saying, well, you can't have Von Miller on your team. Or, hey, Jeffrey Simmons can't play D-end. He can only play D-tackle.
I know. It's the wedging of the linemen, of the interior linemen on both sides of the ball that people are concerned about.
Yeah. I hadn't seen many defensive linemen get trapped under, like, the pile in those plays.
Right.
This is why I'm somewhat being tongue-in-cheek while I say this, but offensive linemen can't have nothing. We can't have nothing.
I mean, it's true.
We specialize in something of moving bodies, and fans get excited on big guys moving bodies around. And you know what? All you get is you suck and you only give up sacks.
So Andrew makes a point on YouTube that is a very valid one, saying the Eagles are the only ones that have consistently been able to make it work. Seems very targeted. The Bills are the other one, although in the AFC playoff game against the Chiefs, the Bills couldn't do it.
Could not
late in the game. That's the part of the reason why they lost and weren't able to advance. But to me, if it was that easy, more teams would have the level of success that Philly is having. It's more about Philly having Jeff Stoutland, who might be the best offensive line coach in football, coupled with a quarterback that's got an elite, otherworldly amount of lower body strength. I don't like
I'm
it,
with you,
but I'm ready to not talk about it anymore.
Yes, I'm there on that because can a team have Derrick Henry on their team in the last 4 minutes of a game?
Yes.
Like, those are the things, like D. Cristobal says it, Christopher said it in there. Agree. It's like, I don't know how to stop this, Mom. The Eagles aren't letting me stop them. Like, it really, like, you're going to dad at that point. That's childish.
I even saw speculation that the Packers were the perfect team to recommend this. That way, their owner can't take heat for it and bring it up at owners' meetings. They don't have an owner.
They don't have an owner. Publicly owned.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah, that's very true. I think it's taken away from what you work for. You know what I'm saying? Like, get you a group of guys that can move bodies the way theirs can.
Right.
It's basically saying the Eagles, we don't want you to have a monopoly on the NFL. Or I guess in the last moments of the game, tight red zone, and you need a first down to end it, they're going to run that play.
Sure.
That's too much in the weeds. They should have let that go.
So there's a shiny object that I'm really interested in that I just found in the break. My fiance has already vetoed it. Lovely Peyton. You know her on News 2. The official 11 a.m. anchor, by the way, on News 2. Shout out to Peyton, who is on the anchor desk Monday through Friday now. a golf simulator at a wedding.
Don't do this, Peyton.
We're getting married next year. And I just saw this on TikTok in the break. It is a wedding where literally there is a portable golf simulator and guys are like lining up to play golf. I sent it to Peyton just with eye emojis, just to, gauge the interest, the thoughts. Her response, I saw this and actively avoided sending it to you.
Don't be a hater.
I guess that's a maybe.
That's a maybe. That's a soft yes. I thrive off of soft
Because Ramon
yeses.
and I are in the break are talking about how much would this cost? How much? What are we thinking? Putting a portable golf simulator on our wedding reception budget. One of those things where once you get a quote for stuff like this, then you just get put on an email or phone list. You never get. You just get nonstop calls and things. I don't know if I want to go down that avenue. Yeah. If it's expensive enough to where I can't find the price on a website freely, it's probably too expensive.
No, Will. You got a year. You got a year to save up for this. I got JR as a golf guy.
I also got kegs for the other guests and food to save up for and a DJ,
establishment of look, this is my thing. You got your thing, okay? I got you. All right, Peyton. This is that. You got a year. I'm guessing the rental of this is probably about $7,500. You got a year. $750 a month. That's all I'm asking.
Peyton's going to end up texting you, stop, don't encourage him.
You got to, this is a simulator on wheels, man. What are we talking about? This is in your marriage.
It looks sick. It looks amazing.
We need a poll. We need a poll. Does Will need a golf simulator at his wedding? And the answer is yes. It's here in Nashville. They'll bring it to your wedding spot, dog.
So if you've got a hookup on a discounted portable golf simulator, 615-737-1049.
Dude, this is a must. Okay. This is absolutely one of the items you got to fight for. Now, listen, I ain't asking you to get into a pre-marriage fight at all. Absolutely not. But the idea that you can entertain your guests, hey, you can get your first dance in and go to the golf simulator after the fact, absolutely.
Peyton, who's listening, says, then I get Joe Jonas to sing at the wedding. That is way more expensive.
Outside the budget.
We don't have the money for that.
We ain't got the facilities for that. Yeah, absolutely
Love
not,
you, Peyton.
man.
Thank you for listening.
But no, we're not doing it. Will, hear me out. We can do a fundraiser for this one. This is, if I'm going to be at your wedding, somebody got to see how terrible my golf swing is.
Gator Mike wants to back me up on the phones this morning. Hello, Mike.
Will, I'm glad Peyton is listening because she needs to remember this is as much your day as it is hers.
No, it's not. It's not. I know that's not true. I have never claimed that.
Come on, Will. Also, married guys, Ramon, back me up.
You got to have something.
You need to have your day in the sun, Will. We're behind you 100%.
No, listen, Mike, I tell Peyton almost every day, this is your wedding. I'll just meet you at the altar.
Yeah, that's how you hide your true feelings, Will. No, you don't, Gator Mike. That's how he tried his true feelings right there, is to say, yeah, no, this is your day. And the boys are going to be in the corner.
He's saying the PC thing to not get in trouble.
Exactly. That's it. You ain't got a lot to kick it.
Ramon, real quickly, what about our boy, your former teammate Marquise Pouncey, into the Florida Gator Sports Hall of Fame? Congratulations to him. He was a dog.
Yeah, it was a dog. Easy. That was an easy selection right there by him.
Very nice.
One of the best dudes I've ever met.
Will, we got you. If I need to help with hotels or anything, you let me know, my friend.
There's a cost right there. We've already removed an expense. Thank you, Gator Mike. Awesome.
That's
absolutely.
Our guy.
You need that, Will.
That's our guy, Gator Mike.
This is her day. You are 100% correct. There's got to be one thing. Either you get the cake, the bar, or the simulator. Decide. That's all I'm saying.
Matthew up next. Hey, Matthew.
All right, brother. Here's what we're going to do.
All right.
Save your marriage.
Oh.
Bring 1,000 golf balls, 4 drivers, and a bounce back net for $200.
See, but what happens when I pop fly a drive and the net does not have the facilities to catch one of those golf balls?
Sounds like a them problem.
I'm with Matt on that.
That's future Will's problem, isn't it?
That's future Will. Hey, Matt is coming out with solutions, Will. You need to hear him out. I'm telling you, this simulator is a cold-blooded thing to do.
Thank you,
I would
Matthew,
do it, and I don't even golf like that. Okay, some dudes have like entertainment, okay, with poles in the background. Like, we're talking about a golf simulator.
Wait a minute.
Look, I'm just showing Peyton. I'm showing Peyton the other side, okay? I'm showing Peyton the other side. You're just doing an innocent golf simulator.
John on YouTube says, a hidden flask is all you need for the day, Will. No, it won't be hidden. That's okay.
It won't be hidden.
Well, the drinks will be flowing. It'll be a good time for all.
We took our shot behind the in the men's dressing room at my wedding. We were at the T-Pack, by the way, awesome facility.
Nice.
A golf simulator looked awesome outside those doors.
So what you're saying is this is not a subpar idea.
Well, I'm telling you, the wife is going to love that, and y'all can take pictures in it.
615-737-1045. Zakai Ziegler is suing the NCAA. We'll talk about it next.
Golf simulator.
We love being part of the moments that matter, which is why we're announcing employee pricing for everyone. You pay what we pay. Employee pricing at Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned, American made.
It is 8:01 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I am Justin Hawkins. The Tennessee Titans are closing in off of phase 2 of offseason programs, and the rookies now have had practice time with the veterans. Head coach Brian Callahan is quickly noticing rookie quarterback Cam Ward getting comfortable in the offense.
Cam has done a really nice job of integrating himself and knowing the play call, being able to spit it out in the huddle, having the tempo, getting familiar with the receivers and what the words mean and how to call it and how your snap count sounds. All that stuff has been really well done on his part.
In other NFL news, per The Athletic's Diana Rossini this morning, the league's competition and players' health and safety committees have voted to ban the tush push. Despite the Eagles' best efforts, the tush push is likely getting pushed out. In Tennessee basketball news, Zakai Ziegler is suing the NCAA over rules limiting him to 4 seasons and a 5-year window as an unlawful restraint of trade under both federal and Tennessee law. In Tennessee baseball, they have their first SEC tournament matchup in Hoover, Alabama today. The Vols will play the Alabama Crimson Tide this afternoon with first pitch set at 1 p.m. on SEC Network. Junior pitcher Marcus Phillips will get the start on the mound for the Vols. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Ramon Will on 104.5 The Zone into the second half already. The official halftime of the entire week, not only your Wednesday morning. 615-737-1045, the number with 11-year NFL veteran, Vol Network analyst, Ramon Foster.
Yeah.
Justin Hawkins, our producer. I'm Will Bowling. Coming up in 15 minutes, Brian Callahan has got an interesting way to develop leadership in the 2025 offseason for the Tennessee Titans. And it sounds like, Ramon, he kind of took it personally how little leadership maybe he had in that team last year.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that coming up here at 8:20 this morning. But some college hoops news and some Vols news that you just heard from Justin Hawkins as well. Zakai Ziegler has filed a lawsuit seeking a 5th year of eligibility for the upcoming basketball season. The lawsuit, according to a press release, alleges the NCAA's rule permitting 4 seasons of eligibility within a 5-year eligibility window is an unlawful restraint of trade under federal and, here's this word again, state antitrust laws. Requesting a preliminary injunction allowing Zakai to compete in the upcoming season while pursuing his graduate studies. His law firm says we look forward to a swift resolution so that Zakai can begin preparing for next season. What was your initial take on this?
It's necessary at this point. If you can get an extra year with the NIL potential to be made, yeah, you can. And then also, this is where, this is just a Zakai situation we know of. I think Gainey wants to attempt to be in this conversation too.
Jordan Gainey, another possibility.
It wouldn't shock me if he jumped in. But it's not just, a Tennessee thing. I think with where the NCAA is right now, and their biggest gripe is we keep getting lawsuits. Like, I don't think they have enough money. Well, I say that and they do. I don't think they have enough money to pay for all their lawyers to fight all these cases to try to win them too. And if you are aggressive, as I think this Knoxville law firm is going to be for Zakai Ziegler and what he can mean for that team, considering Herb Savage, someone bring this up yesterday, with what Florida's doing, what Kentucky did, what you expect Arkansas and Auburn to do in basketball. If you have any influence on getting this expedited so that Zakai can get back on campus, you should. Because if that rule change as far as allowing college athletes to have 5 played years, Zakai only have 4. He can play a graduate. Right now you got graduate transfers in the portal that are essentially taking advantage of the portal in that graduate year also. Zakai, to his own point, should be allowed to do that. If you know what he messed up, they allowed certain guys to have 6, 7, 8, 9 years of eligibility. They lose, in my opinion.
So the struggle with this is at the beginning of Zakai Ziegler's 5-year clock, because traditionally the NCAA, without a pandemic, without a season-ending injury that you can get a waiver approved for, you have 5 years to play for. Mm-hmm. So you get 4 years of competition. You have a 5-year clock to do that. Zakai Ziegler is claiming that if he would have followed the 5-year rule and used a red shirt as a freshman, he would be eligible because of the 5-year clock and would make $2 to $4 million this upcoming season. The additional part of that is, if Zakai Ziegler had redshirted, he would be eligible for 5 years of playing because that's coming in the House settlement.
Yeah.
So there is the expectation in college athletics that athletes will get 5 years to play moving forward if all of this passes and is done by a judge in time. And teams are trying to figure out how many of these guys can we grandfather in. Well, Zakai's point is, well, heck, if I just redshirted that freshman year, then I would be a person that would be grandfathered in. So grandfather me in now because I'm getting punished for being good enough to play as a freshman. That's at least his legal argument. The next thing I think that will happen, Ramon, is Jordan Gainey's going to do the exact same thing. Any Tennessee player who is a senior and who still wants to play college basketball, so pretty much all of them but Jazz Lanier, who just got done, and Igor Milicic, who I think has the opportunity to go pro as well, is going to try to come back and do this again. Thinking of a Tennessee team with Jacoby Gillespie and Zakai Ziegler on it,
the leadership
would be scary.
I mean, think
now other teams would be able to reload with seniors that just left as well if you opened up Pandora's box. But I mean, in the world we live in today in college athletics, you got the money to have the lawyers. If you can pay the billable hours, you might as well try.
And see, the thing that gets me, though, with this one is if this was a collective bargaining agreement to where there's a pot of money that's being paid out to help bring Zakai back, then I have a different conversation, right? Okay, you're taking away from somebody else. But I look at this the way the NIL structure is set up. NCAA, you don't have to pay this. The University of Tennessee and its collectives have to pay this more than anything. So it doesn't hurt you to allow this to happen. Now, going beyond 5 years, I'm of that mindset like, no, 5 years is good enough. Although I'm a part of the mindset that, look, the longer you can delay adult life, the better it is for some people going into the world too, right? There's a guy, he's got a challenge of going to the NBA. It just is what it is. He can go overseas and do his thing, but having a representative like him and Gainey, and not just a Vol, right? Others will at other universities to help strengthen and solidify the sport, the game, I think could really be a very advantageous point to what the NCAA should allow this one to happen. Now, I'm very biased because I'm a Vols fan. I get that. I love to see Zakai. Absolutely. And there's no guarantee behind it. But I do think in the world of NIL and just a familiarity of like faces, a lot of universities will sign up to have a guy like him and others on their campus for one more year.
I would be very surprised if this happened.
Allowed? You think so?
I'd be very surprised.
Not the fifth year.
Not for guys that have already graduated and are done. And it's for this simple reason. Having Diego Pavia for Vanderbilt be given that extra year of eligibility, claiming that a JUCO season shouldn't count towards his clock because it's taking away his ability to earn and receive NIL money, that opens a much smaller Pandora's box than this one if you give Zakai Ziegler another year. Now, granted, it's not up to the NCAA. It's up to a court to decide whether or not this is applicable and this, is a case that he really has. But I think it does more harm than good to high school recruits and to players at the bottom ends of rosters who have been signed and promised spots to take away a lot of those spots for guys who have graduated and are on their way out. Because if you give this to Zakai Ziegler, there are hundreds of college basketball players who will get more eligibility immediately, who just simply didn't redshirt,
now
who played 4 seasons in a row.
Yeah. But it's also, there's a difference between Zakai and somebody else that's just trying to get an extra year, though, too.
Well,
right?
and the difference
valuation plays a part into it.
Essentially, you are opening up the Pandora's box that if you played 4 straight years and you didn't redshirt as a freshman, you can get a 5th year and be grandfathered in. That also, that costs a lot of money. That's roster spots that a lot of schools have not planned for. Like, I would love for this to happen as a Tennessee fan. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for this to happen. I'd be surprised if it did because of the ripple effects it would cause.
But also, to your point, the reality of it is, too, as we were just talking about, like, a lot of teams, the other side of that coin is this. Coaches ask players to leave. So for the Zakai, there may be a walk-on that probably suffers from it, but he's not on scholarship anyway. You get a guy like Zakai. Like, the other part is coaches, I've seen guys graduate in 3 years and want to come back that 4th year. And coaches are like, no, it's probably best that you walk.
Right.
We don't,
happens all the time.
It happens it's happening right now. I know
a friend of mine. With Carson back in Georgia.
Absolutely. I got a friend of mine, man, that has a son that was asked to leave. Like, they asked the injured players, like, we're not having you back. So that is that side too.
No, it definitely
it becomes dog-eat-dog for sure.
I will not debate 100%. That
100%.
For sure. Interesting, though. I mean, at this point, again, like I said, if you can afford the billable hours, go for it. Might as well try. The NCAA keeps losing cases. I think the precedent they have set, though, is that there is more leniency for football players than any other sport.
Yeah.
We've seen that with Alberto Osuna, the first baseman for Tennessee, who was not granted eligibility on the same standard that Diego Pavia got to play football.
Yeah.
He was not given that right to play baseball. Neither was a slugger from Georgia who had a JUCO year that wasn't given. So all this is a mess, and all this is going to keep happening in courtrooms until the NCAA gets an antitrust exemption, which comes with a collective bargaining agreement for players. That is what this is all building up to.
It's fascinating you mentioned Diego Pavia. I was listening to 3HL while you was getting rained and threatened by the weather yesterday in Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
He was on 3HL yesterday, and he said he talked to Sankey. He actually gave a behind-the-scenes conversation about his conversation. But he said that he asked him about Diego Pavia's situation and said, Sankey, if I'm correct, hopefully Mayor and Savage will correct me if I'm wrong, but he said, Sankey said that the NCAA got the Diego Pavia situation wrong, is what he said. So they opened that Pandora's box to allow him, but according to Chris Lowe, and per his conversation with Sankey, that was the wrong decision to be made. And I'm not saying that as an anti-Vanderbilt person. I'm saying it as hey, the commissioner said that was the wrong play to be made.
Well, the wrong play,
this.
right, is the wrong play is the inconsistency in how you apply that ruling.
Mm-hmm.
If Diego Pavia gets to play at Vanderbilt because his JUCO year didn't count, then so should Alberto Osuna at Tennessee at first base. So should the Georgia slugger who had the exact same case happen. So should that should be a standard that is set forth by courts. But again, this is the world we live in when the NCAA has no jurisdiction to enforce its own rules.
No consistency.
No consistency as well. And no due process. The NCAA certainly is not blameless at any of this. Their inability to give us a transparent process on how and when they will rule on things like eligibility. And remember Aubrey Solomon at Tennessee a couple of years ago. Cade Mays coming from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
We were into week 1 of the football season and didn't even know if those guys would play. It's the NCAA's own fault. They didn't let us peek behind the curtain into that process a little bit and open up a situation where we could have lawlessness in the portal and NIL.
I say this with a lot of respect. I think they got too giddy and sympathetic to Vanderbilt with the Pavia situation. I'll say this, and what I mean by this is that I think Vanderbilt needs Pavia. His stardom he brought, his play, his resetting of their organization and school as far as football goes. And I think they somewhat considered that more than they did thinking about what's going to happen behind them, which is where we are right now.
Right. 615-737-1045. Brian Callahan had some interesting comments yesterday about Titans in leadership. We'll tell you how Brian Callahan specifically is trying to change the culture in the Titans locker room with a bit of a different way of operating this offseason, and we'll do that next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Are you headed to the beach or pool this summer? If so, you may benefit from water-resistant hearing aids. I want to tell you about my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center who can help you if you're going to weddings, if you're outside at social gatherings, maybe you're just in the water. Well, you may benefit from hearing aids that significantly reduce background noise and enable you to hear and understand conversation. The Doctors of Audiology at Brentwood Hearing Center offer the latest hearing device technology and, yes, a water-resistant hearing aid that will also help you hear in those situations where you find it difficult to engage in conversation because of background noise. Give them a call today, 615-377-0420, or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com to learn more about how they can tailor a hearing solution to meet your or your family member's individual hearing care needs. Again, the number is 615-377-0420. Their website is great, BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. That's Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life. Ramon Will is brewed by Scooter's Coffee at 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Justin Hawkins, our producer. I'm Will Bowling. 615-737-1045, the number. Scooter's Coffee all around you here in Middle Tennessee. Of course, if you listen to us, you know that. Locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. I ordered online on the app yesterday. Beauty of that is, Ramon, you order on the app, then you go up to the speaker and you tell them, hey, Will's here. Then your food is hot and fresh and made for you when you scoot on down. You just go ahead and pay on the app.
Scoot on
Get some rewards. I got $2 off.
Dude.
And then since I ordered on the app and got it, today I get $5 off. My vanilla orange Red Bull about to go get down there on the way to Murfreesboro.
Sounds like my dog is living life to the fullest.
Living life.
And efficiently is what you're telling me to
very good.
ordering on the app.
The s'mores cold brew coffee I had yesterday will be seeing me this summer quite a bit.
Like that.
Terrific.
Say less than.
Terrific.
Can you describe what an orange vanilla Red Bull tastes
Well, yes, I can. Let me go to the Scooter's mobile app, which I have downloaded. We will get to Brian Callahan talking about leadership and all the stuff that he said yesterday we thought was very interesting from the Titans head coach. We call this a filibuster, boys and girls. As I look in the app,
A little research.
I gotta select my location. So here we go. Start order. I'm gonna go to start order. I'm gonna look at cold drinks. An orange velvet Red Bull infusion is what we got going on here. They infuse the tropical flavors of Red Bull Yellow Edition with orange and vanilla flavors. Orange velvet Red Bull infusion. Oh. Yes, is all you have to answer.
Yeah, sign me up for that.
Absolutely, I do.
I gotta hit up the one in White House is what I'm telling you.
So
because
good.
You mentioned that, and now I want one. And it's been a while since I've had a cinnamon roll too. So
I'm gonna get a cinnamon roll today. I went business yesterday with actual like breakfast, like sustaining energy. Today we're going for fun. Today we're going. Yesterday was business. Today's pleasure.
Yeah,
cinnamon roll. We'll be seeing me.
Treat yourself.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. I mean, it's hump day. Get over the hump.
So Smyrna,
man.
I'll see you soon if you're listening down at Scooter's Coffee. Brian Callahan yesterday, Ramon, talking to the media, I thought had an interesting answer about leadership being an emphasis for the Titans this offseason. I know a lot of people are talking about this. I want to get to a Dan Moore quote as well about Cam Ward's role within that. But this is a full 2-minute answer from your head coach, Brian Callahan, talking about how he and the coaching staff are trying to develop leadership this offseason.
It's something that we've really put a lot of work into. What I mean by that is it's an emphasis for us as well. Just like we emphasize trying to eliminate those negative plays and our execution, there is a leadership emphasis. And part of the reason I did what I did with our dividing our team up into teams is now they're all accountable to each other on that team. There's a leadership that starts to grow because now each team has a captain and an alternate, and now you've got more people in leadership spots. One of the things I think is unique about the process is it allows those guys to start to find their own voices, and it's not about an offense versus defense. It's much more of a holistic team approach to it. We encourage these guys to spend a lot more time together, both in the building and out of it. It's been a focus for us, and I think you can develop leadership. I don't think leaders are necessarily just walk into a room ready to lead. I think there's skills you have to learn. You have to have the communication as a leader. You have to know your teammates. We spend a lot more time trying to get to know each other on a level that I think is going to be beneficial to fostering more leadership for more people. One of the things I tell our team all the time that I think is really important is a lot of times you ask people, how do you lead? And most people say, I lead by example. And my retort to that is there's really no such thing in pro sports. Leading by example is the expectation. That's your job, to be on time, to do what you're supposed to do, to work hard, to study. That's part of that's in your contract, And so my challenge to our team this year was to do more of the things that require bringing people with you, making other people better. And so leadership is something that we talk a lot about. It's a focal point of our off season, and the idea is that you develop a team full of leaders, and everyone has different styles. But it's something that I think the more people you have that are comfortable in those roles and understand that it's more about how you interact with people and how you make people around you better, that part of it I think is something I'm excited about.
So that's Titans head coach Brian Callahan talking to the media yesterday. Ramon, you had initial thoughts on this when we played it live on air yesterday. We didn't have time to really get into the full discussion, but What was your initial take on 2 minutes on leadership from the head coach, which is clearly a bigger point of emphasis this year than it was this time last year?
I was writing down notes as we're going through that too. Not as you have. Why did I say that? But either way, is what I'm getting at is this. One, I push back on a little bit of I lead by example. I do think, or lead by my work. I do think that is a part of it because some guys just aren't vocal, right? Some guys you got to see them do their work, and also to I guess the point you can push is if I tell you to do something, I also need you to show it by example. That's the only pushback I have on what he had to say in that one. I've never heard it explained like that, but clearly he's pretty much saying, don't just give me lip service. Do everything that you say you're going to do on top of being an encourager, a supporter, or somebody that will. What we don't speak about with leadership too is somewhat showing your teammates you can be angry with them. I think that's a part of it to where I think Jeffrey Simmons, for a guy that was here last year, took a lot of that on his shoulders and just being upset, not being able to really know how to communicate with, not knowing how to communicate with his guys, but not being in a position to where you can go at somebody without being disrespectful. I will say one of the exchanges I saw last year, and we can just talk about it now, I feel like for the most part, and I won't go too deep into it, but there was a situation on the Jacksonville Jaguars sideline between him and a young fella, Jeffrey Simmons, and they got kind of spicy. And I think that's necessary for the young guy to feel that, but also it shouldn't just be on one person being upset, right? And I think that's what Coach Callahan is trying to facilitate. And I was writing down, was going through going through the free agent signings this year. He's speaking about having more leaders. If you look at the guys that they signed, not all of them per se, but the guys that they signed come from either a lot of years in this league or leadership roles. Cody Barton, listen to him yesterday. I think he's a natural leader type. I'm looking at Kevin Zeitler. You understand what you're getting 100%, there.
Right.
At almost every position too, Will.
And even Dan Moore talked yesterday about how one of the reasons I was brought here was to help mentor the younger offensive linemen as well. And that was in the vision I think they laid out for him when he was signed as a Titan.
And not just him, but every team on this team, right? With Johnny Hecker. As long as he's been in the league. Now, I know you got Morgan Cox, but if you got a guy to understand the process of how to do it, and I even throw Cam Ward in that conversation. Every guy that you brought in, I feel like this year has some type of strong leadership quality that I don't think Coach Brian Callahan had. And I'll even say this too. It gives him a lot of coverage, knowing that he got guys inside the locker room that can pass his word. Like this 18 thing that he's doing with the setup of this leadership council, it's for him, I feel like, more than it is for the team at this point. Because if you can set guys up, Will, in a way to where they can police themselves. What is law? Law is pretty much set up by government, right? But it's on people to somewhat enforce that themselves through policemen, through, citizens. Like, law is enforced by the people, especially in the locker room. You got to have your ability to have captain and co-captains of these teams. But if you can also say, we'll split you guys up to where it's not just O-line with the O-line, D-line with the D-line. Right. If I, as an offensive lineman, can say, at a wide receiver, we need that catch.
Sure.
And I feel comfortable with doing it, Will, that creates an environment to where everybody thrives and understand you can't just walk and not, cross the line. Like, it's got to be good. And I even brought this part of it up, too, with Callahan. Him being able to, honestly, I feel like this is a reset for him.
Right.
I'm actually more optimistic about his ability to not turn this team around, but be given more time to incorporate what he wants this team to look like, what he did this offseason.
Right. Well, we talked a lot about leadership last season when Will Levis was taking wide receivers to Cabo. Yeah. And Levis was kind of seen as the face of that. Well, then what happens when Levis stinks? Who else you got?
Yeah, who else you got?
Because I think Will Levis did his job in terms of leadership last season. He just wasn't on the field enough for that to matter. And you made another point when we started this a couple minutes ago to say leadership is not only galvanizing your teammates and getting guys to buy in, but then it's holding up your end of the bargain.
Yeah.
Like if we're all rowing in a canoe, I can't motivate you to row when I'm actively rowing the opposite direction. Right. When I'm throwing enough picks to take away from the calls and what we're all trying to do. So that, to me, is the thing that I think Brian Callahan and his staff are trying to implement into this roster. And I think with the expectation that Cam Ward becomes the leader of this team and the leader of this franchise. But in the meantime, as his confidence level, as his skill level as a professional quarterback is being honed in on and being developed, we need guys to pick up the slack in the meantime. We need to teach young linemen how to be pros. We need to teach young corners how to come to work every day and be pros. We need to teach linebackers what it takes to play in this system. And you're not only developing better players to play for you in 2025, you hope that your young players that may have to step into starting roles in 2026, who are backups right now, are better off because they had Cody Barton in the room. You hope that J.C. Latham is a better pro for years to come because he had Kevin Zeitler in the room at right guard. You hope that Alec Manor and Chimere Dike are better wide receivers because they watched Van Jefferson go through practice as a pro and work with coaches, take coaching, figure out ways to practice, figure out ways to take care of your bodies. Like, those things are significant. And you've lived that for 11 years in the NFL, and you can speak to it as well as anybody. Watching other guys go through the motions, go through the process, learning, all right, so if I got an ankle thing, this is what I do after practice to take care of it. Oh, hey, I didn't get that from Coach Callahan. Let me go ask him before this next rep. Hey, what are we looking for here? How are your feet? What are you doing with your feet that's different from what I'm doing to where you're not getting cussed out, but I am by Bill? Because the best advocates for how to do things, like a coach can only lead you to the water. If you want to drink from it, oftentimes it takes watching someone else actually do it before you learn how to do it yourself.
100%. We joked early off everybody before we started the show about that.
One of Justice Schaefer's favorite sayings.
Yeah, it was, and it came. We somewhat live by this, and essentially what I feel like they're doing. Like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. What's that come behind?
But we can drown him.
That's what he's doing.
Right.
That's essentially what Callahan is doing. Like, as you're talking and like piecing through this, I'm laughing because I'm like, Callahan's slick. He's slick because all he's doing right now is empowering the players to do what he wants them to do.
Right.
And he's facilitating it in a way in competition.
And not just letting them figure it out themselves. I think that's probably what was happening this time last year.
And he had to because he's learning on the job.
100%.
I feel like, and this is what, if it holds true and they get better as a team, this is what I'm hoping, like the patience of letting a coach do his thing over the course of building, right? That's the word we didn't want to use, which is a rebuild. Like, this is the second phase I'm hoping for, the rebuild of what he wants this team to look like, is empowering the players to work within his system inside the building. If you can have, and we had this at times where a wide receiver is just simply not doing his job. You know what the coach Tomlin would, it would be AB. I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. Hey, fellas, this play right here, we got 7. We could have got 15 or 20 on that if AB would block. If, Emmanuel Sanders would block. If player X would block.
So while things are player-led and discussed, it does sometimes take a coach to nudge somebody in the right direction.
So guess what coach would come? Hey, fellas, go talk to him. We need him blocking. And you know what would happen? When we held him accountable, they would get excited about blocking. Hey, did you see me? I blocked him. I was like, yeah, you did. Now you get the football because you did your job in the running game.
You earned it.
So now you have the ability to get the ball because now the offense is opened up because you did something you didn't want to do, and that's block. And you know what we did as players? Go high-five the hell out of them. Man, we appreciate you. Yeah. Big fellas up front, we appreciate that. We got 17 yards out of that one because you sealed your man off. It's the little stuff like that to where that's why I'm laughing at Callahan, because all he's doing is saying, look, watch me make them feel empowered by challenging their teammates. That is, again, can't force them to drink, Will, but you're going to drown one way or the other if you don't start drinking from the well that we are.
The thing that gives me a little bit of hope and I think optimism about Brian Callahan is competitive flexibility.
Yeah.
It's not a skill a lot of coaches have to admit that they did something wrong the year prior.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like Brian Callahan, and I don't know what it means yet for them this season. It might not translate in immediate wins. Maybe it does. Maybe Brian Callahan has gone back to the drawing board and said, I did this wrong. Let me adjust some things. Let me change the way I do things. It's really hard for coaches to admit that they're wrong.
They won't say it.
No. He does.
Yeah.
I don't know if that matters. Again, this could all be, Brian Callahan could be the best guy in the world. Maybe it doesn't work out. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball to know what happens next. Maybe the flexibility and the things he changes this offseason are for the better, and this team is competitive. But it gives me optimism about him as a head coach, that he is willing to have difficult conversations about things that he didn't do as well as he could have last year. You've been around a lot of coaches.
Yeah.
Coaches earn head coaching opportunities by being pretty set in their ways and believing in their own process. Brian Callahan, at least, appears to me to be pretty open to learning a different way of doing things as a head coach. I wanted to get to this quote from Dan Moore yesterday, talking about Cam Ward and his leadership ability for what he's been able to contribute here early. Dan Moore talking about Cam's maturity level and confidence level, I think being above the normal rookie standard.
Yeah, I mean, one of the hardest things for a quarterback, I feel like, alone is just being able to get a grasp of the huddle, be able to fluidly say the play and remember the play, and just have a sense of direction and a command of the huddle as well. And I feel like he has that. I feel like whenever he's talking, he has a sense of confidence that guys can feel. And I sense that, we'll be able to feed off of energy from him.
It's up to Cam Ward to be the alpha in the Titans locker room immediately. And it sounds like his teammates, Ramon, are already receptive to it.
Yeah. And you know what? I do think a lot of this is coming from the pre-draft visuals and conversations that we got to be quite honest. Not to play the Shador Cam soap opera again, but I think when you look at one versus the other, the optics of what you got from Cam was serious, very professional, mature, driven, all of those types of words that you can just I said it before. I felt like Cam Ward used Shador's cameras, fame, and just spotlight against him. It helped, in my opinion, elevate Cam Ward's perception higher than Shador tried to have his at that point, if that makes sense. And I'm not dogging Shador, but what I'm saying is this. I feel like Cam used it a whole lot better than what Shador did in this pre-draft videos, workouts, and just the conversation of where that respect and those optics that we all see, because all of us on social media, and you take the approach, like even with me, like, yeah, Cam's a serious guy. That's the way I take it. Like, he's a pro. That's the way I look at it.
He's a lot more humble than Shador Sanders.
Yeah.
Cam Ward.
And even if he ain't, he didn't show us.
Right.
Even if he ain't, Will, he didn't show us. And I think that is a huge part on why Cam can walk in and have a guy like Dan or anybody else is like, oh, he got a pro. He don't have to show it.
Right.
But yeah.
It gives me optimism on Cam Ward, too, that you hear the new left tackle saying the hardest thing for rookies is having a sense of direction, and Cam already has it.
Yeah.
The guy's been here for a couple weeks. He knows who he is.
Yeah.
He knows what he wants from us, and he's starting to know the offense. He'll be QB1 next week for phase 3.
That was huge to your point, though, too, for a guy like Dan and say that, or even Zeitler, too, if he's in town, is you can understand when a shaky voice quarterback comes in.
No doubt.
Will, it bothers you. I'll be honest. When Mason or Landry Jones would come into the game, like, oh, Lord. When they were young guys, you feel that anxiety. And if Cam's not giving them that, that's a great step one.
When we come back, we have an update on the Detroit Lions proposal at NFL owners' meetings to do away with bye weeks for division winners and the reseeding process of the NFL playoffs. We'll give you that update coming up next. Ramon Will, 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up the third hour of your Wednesday morning, fueled by Scooter's Coffee. Some breaking NFL news this morning from NFL owners' meetings in Minnesota. The Detroit Lions had a proposal on the table to reseed the playoffs based on record, Ramon Foster.
Yeah.
Not based on division champion and all of these things. They have withdrawn their proposal. 20 minutes before owners' meetings were scheduled to begin this morning, the playoff seeding will go untouched from the NFL.
That makes no sense, to be quite honest with
Agreed.
you, man. I get the conversation, like, we were better than you in the regular season. Well, if that's the case, beat the winner of your division then, if that's the case.
Right.
Like, it's unfair and all those types of things. But here's what I will say in the point of a team that felt like they were hurt by it, Minnesota. Like, Sam Darnold just didn't play well in general. Like, would he have played better at home? Well, that's also part of being a pro.
Right.
The environments are what they are at that point. And also for the home team that wins those games, like, why would you punish? Let's go if the Tennessee Titans win
Sure.
at 9 and 9 and 8.
Yeah.
Like, why do they have to be punished if they win a first round game at home to go on the road? Like, it makes no sense, but I can understand it.
So last season, the Detroit Lions and the NFC North played the AFC South.
Yeah.
In a 3-week span, Detroit beat Houston 26-23. They beat Jacksonville 52-6, and they beat the Colts 24-6 a season ago.
Yeah.
Within that, they also beat the Titans 52-14. They went 4-0 against the AFC South. Yeah. Unfortunately, hey, I'm sorry to bring that one back up. Yeah. They should not get rewarded. The NFC North, it's a good division. Don't get me wrong. They played an easier schedule last season than they will this upcoming year as well. And that is the caveat to this that I think is challenging for people that are against it. Last season, they played the NFC West and the AFC South. They played the Rams, beat them. They played the Cardinals, beat them. San Francisco 49ers, beat them last season. Like, that is an advantage, and I think they maybe realize that they don't get that advantage this time around because this year they got to play the AFC North, and they've got to play a more challenging out-of-conference schedule.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Ramon's mic is not working. You want to migrate?
Yeah, I'll migrate. Is this better?
That was not working either.
It's not working either. All right.
Oh, no.
Crazy. Red is there.
Try all the mics.
Rhett Bryan is in here. His mic not working. My mic is working. Listen, the Will Bowling Show is really not going to be that entertaining, but we can do it. I'd rather have Ramon kind of on a mic versus just only me. Yes, so we got Justin.
Ramon, come on back here to the best place in town.
Hey, this is mic check 1 2 1 2 for real.
All right,
you just want to go in the
Ramon and
control
Justin
room?
Show.
Hello.
Oh, all right, we got Rhett now. Good morning, Rhett Bryan.
Come migrate
Welcome.
over to mine.
Nope, not yet. All right, my old seat.
This is fun in the studio, fun in the control room this morning. Limu Emu is back, is what I'm hearing right now. Limu Emu and Doug have once again kneecapped Ramon.
Dog does out right quick. Golly.
There we are. Welcome back.
He never left. That happened out of nowhere. My mic was on the entire time,
Yeah, it was.
too. That's crazy.
Weird.
Thank you for keeping the seat warm, Red. That was awesome right there. But, yeah, to your point, the playoffs shouldn't be changed, in my opinion. They added the 7th game. I think that's fair.
It's not a totally balanced schedule.
No, it's not at all. But here's the thing, though, too. Like, that's where when it's your year, and you know this to be true also, like, we look at the schedule sometimes and say, oh, we got this division and we got that division. We can get 3 of those 4 teams in that division. Like,
Right.
And that, to me, is where you got to understand, like, your Super Bowl window. When is your time
Right.
to strike? Like, that is one of the things that I would look at in those moments is who are our opponents? How much can we spread out our wins, losses to everybody else in our division? That is a part of it
Right.
for me.
I mean, the Lions clearly are looking at their schedule saying, this is no longer in my best interest. This year they play the NFC East and the AFC North as their 2 divisions that the NFC North gets to play. So last season when you had a much easier schedule that you could just waltz through and win the division with, That's all great. But this upcoming season, 10-7 or 11-6 might win the NFC North, considering how difficult the NFC North schedule is for all four of those teams, which would make things more challenging on you to get a home playoff game if their proposal, which they just took away, would have worked out.
This just proves the notion, man, that it's hard being good.
Absolutely.
Detroit, welcome to the party everybody has been telling you about for years. This is what your fan base has been asking for as it pertains to not losing on Thanksgiving every single year or wearing paper bags over your head. If this is their reasoning behind it, this is the other side. This is why I think the NFL model of having the best play the best and then you rotate divisions is a part of it, because I do truly believe and whatever rotation that you're in as far as playing a weaker division is your opportunity to strike in that Super Bowl window. I do think that's a part of it. And to be one of those teams that stay good, let's just go with the Eagles at this point. Or, I mean, look how impressive we're talking about this, what Kansas City has done in a short time with Patrick.
I do think this will happen in some capacity in the future. I think this will happen with seeding changing in order to make weeks 17 and 18 more interesting. And in the future, weeks 19 and 20, because that's the world we're about to live in with 18 games and 2 bye weeks, I think is sooner rather than later. If there's one thing the NFL is consistent on, it is creating the best possible television product no matter what. And right now, you have teams that are locked into, like the Texans last year were locked into the 4 seed in like week 16 or week 15. And so entering that final game, there was not a lot of wiggle room, and the NFL, I think, does not want players resting starters as much as they are if they can build a formula that encourages them to play their best game and their best team week in and week out.
They've somewhat tried to do that with the last game of the season being a divisional game.
Right.
Like the last game on the Titans schedule is a TBA with the Jags.
Creating a better television product.
Yeah, but I will say there were years where I knew like we needed the last game of the season, and I was happy it was Cleveland. And I don't say that as a slight to them. I'm just saying, like, when they were bad and, like, this was as different between the 3rd or 4th seed or a bye week.
Right.
Like, to your point about the how competitive it was.
Sure.
I was glad it was them.
It's interesting, though. Like, I wonder if we get to a world where there is some kind of uniform strength of schedule and strength metric that is a tiebreaker in all of this. Like, if we live in a world where the amount of wins you had over teams above 500 by the end of the season is a first tiebreaker for all of these things. Like, I think there is a middle ground between what this proposal was for the Lions in terms of let's just seed 1 through 7 based on the best record, and what we have now where the top 4 division winners get home games and get buys, and then you get the next 3. I don't know the answer to that. I know Albert Breer's talked about there's different things that have been discussed, but this will happen because the NFL, I think, wanted it. The NFL tabled this to now in order to try to gain more support for it.
You know the biggest issue that you run into? Owners. The owners. Hosting that playoff game might mean an extra $3 to $4 million for the owner.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where it becomes, I think, problematic. I almost, to your point of the league owners, I almost feel like an owner stepped in and said, no. No, absolutely not. Right. That is a bonus for us.
The league wanted this to happen, and that because Roger Goodell tabled it when they realized back in February for the last owners meetings, this didn't have the support to pass.
Yeah,
they tried to put out a little PR campaign behind closed doors. It seems in the meantime, and it didn't work.
Do you think Miss Amy would allow let's go Buffalo to take a home game from her though?
Oh, well, no. I mean, definitely not.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you won the first round, but Buffalo's a higher-seeded team that you got to play that got to come to you, I mean, higher seeded. Like, you got to win that, especially if Buffalo finishes second in the division.
Right.
Like, the Titans own that.
Right now, it's in the AFC South's best interest for this to stay the way that it is.
Yes, sir.
And get your guaranteed home game in the first round.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Rep Bryan of Titans Radio joins us coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Good people, man. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley should know the names, man, because here's the thing. They're going to care about you and not give up on you when it comes to your back or knee pain. I got an appointment today just for maintenance. I ain't even hurting right now. It's just for maintenance because that's what they want to do for you to be able to live life pain-free, and especially in your back and spinal area and knees, too. So much so they have a deal going on for you. It's 47% off the non-surgical spinal decompression. It's an offer they're giving for 2025, man, to help you battle and win against pain, man. Again, no more sleepless nights. Say goodbye to the disc bulges, the herniations, and spinal stenosis. Listen to me. There are no pills or spinal creams that open the spinal disc to take pressure off your nerves. You either have to have surgery or go to the non-surgical side of it to open up the spinal disc. And they take that very serious at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I've done it myself. I'm also a consumer. So again, start your year off right now with a pain-free life, and it is possible. Reaching out to the company that I trust and use, the Wellness Institute of Nashville, 615-246-5009, or go to painisbad.com.
It is 9:02 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I am Justin Hawkins. With Phase 2 of off-season programs coming to an end for the Tennessee Titans, the rookies and vets have had practice time together, and new left tackle Dan Moore is already noticing Cam Ward's ability.
Have a sense of direction and command of the huddle as well. And I feel like he has that. I feel like whenever he's talking, he has a sense of confidence that guys can feel. And I sense that, we'll be able to feed off of energy from him.
In other NFL news, per The Athletic's Diana Rossini this morning, the league's competition and players' health and safety committees have voted to ban the tush push, despite the Eagles' best efforts. The tush push is likely getting pushed out. Also, per multiple reports this morning, the Lions are withdrawing the proposal right before league meetings are set to begin to reseed playoff teams based on regular season record. And Tennessee baseball, they have their first SEC matchup set in Hoover, Alabama. The Vols will take on Alabama Crimson Tide this afternoon. First pitch is at 1 p.m. on SEC Network. Junior pitcher Marcus Phillips will get the start on the mound for the Vols. And Tennessee won their series against Alabama back in March, 2-1. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Ramon Will on 104.5 The Zone, brewed by Scooters Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast with Ramon Foster. Justin Hawkins, our producer. We are joined this morning to begin hour 4 by Titans Radio's Rhett Bryant here in studio. I'm Will Bowling. Rhett, is your mic working?
Let's see.
Yes, it is.
I believe that's a yes.
Lovely. Ramon Foster?
Nope, absolutely not.
Silence.
All right, slide over here to mic 6.
Come on down.
Good buddy. Come on over, GB.
Which one?
Yeah, that one right there.
You're the
I
next
believe is
contestant on
6.
Ramon's Right.
Hey, there it is.
Hey, welcome.
We can
Hey there,
hear the
Delilah.
Biggie.
What's it like in New York City?
Hello, Biggie.
There we go. There we go.
This is the mic Buck uses.
Man, it is the Mike Buck.
It's the best takes that Mike's ever heard coming from you now.
Whoa, hey.
He's out of town. He can't hear us right
Yeah,
now.
no, he's good.
Yeah, he's
He'll be
good.
back
That's a
tomorrow.
good point.
We only talk about
Go
him
for
behind
it.
his back. We only
He'd
talk
be
about
here
him behind
in
his back.
50. When does the show start? 55 minutes? He'd be here in 54 minutes
Yeah, I
anyway.
wonder what happened.
Yeah,
over
sure.
there.
It's all good.
I didn't touch anything, spill anything.
All right, wow, we're all set. We're
Very
close together.
strange.
Oh, we are. We're close.
Weak side
Weak
over
side.
here
Yeah.
on the station.
yeah,
studio side.
exactly. There we go.
We just went through, Rhett, the news of the morning of the NFL. The tush push likely to be banned, which means we
Jesus.
don't have to talk about it anymore.
Look, I'm going to look. You've heard of TED Talks. Here's a Rhett Talk. Shut up about the tush push. We do not care.
We do not care.
We don't.
We lost all cares.
Call it but exactly, Justin
Thank you, Mike
Hawkins.
Tomlin.
Exactly. Good Lord. Call it the brotherly shove. Just shut up about it. Like, there's so many more important things to focus on.
Did it hurt teams' feelings? Like, what is your perspective on it while we say we're not talking about it real quick?
Talking about it, not talking about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it, not talk about it. Did it hurt teams' feelings? Was it too predictable? Was it unstoppable? Like, what is the reasoning? Is the only question I have. It's like, I love to know what the complaint. Like, what was the actual complaint they laid on the table? Said we can't have it because of
Somebody got beat with it, probably, and lost a game because of it. And that would be my guess. Listen, I don't care enough to even know the history of why it's a thing. Like, I could care less. I just don't know how.
Only, because here's what I do think, though. My voice sounds different over here for whatever reason.
Oh.
Here's what I do think is coaches are going to try to find a way around it. They're like, if you can't do that, then can you not do quarterback sneak? Do you have to walk up to it and slowly get into the position to do the, you know what I'm saying? The brotherly shove, whatever the case. Like, is it because they speed up to the line of scrimmage to do it? Like, there's got to be
it's almost like a sugar huddle for
got to be a way around this, right? It has to be.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head a minute ago, though. Competitive nature and spirit, and this is why schemes and plans and things are drawn up. It's right. Okay, we can't beat it. We can't join it. Let's figure out how to stop it. Whatever.
That's ridiculous. I'm with you. I hear
There's
the hate in your heart.
There's just so many other important things to discuss and focus your energy and time on.
It really
Please.
is.
Like, if this was John Gordon's novel. It's like this is an energy vampire.
That's
like,
right.
please stop.
I saw our good friend Mike Golick Jr. put out this morning on social media about all this tush-push stuff. Said, just do it, just ban it so everyone stops complaining. The Eagles will be fine on short yardage, and you will all have to find something else to cry about. This is tiresome. Perfectly summed up.
Yeah.
Our good friend
That's
Mike
our
Golick
sentiments.
Yeah, that's our sentiments for sure.
Rhett, interesting stuff yesterday at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. We played the audio in the last hour of Brian Callahan talking about the way they are trying to foster and develop leadership in that building. And I know Cody Barton said that there is more of an emphasis on that here than in other places that he's been, and in Denver where he previously was. And it is clearly a big point of emphasis for Coach Callahan this offseason.
Yeah, I heard all of that availability with all the guys yesterday, and I noticed that too. That kind of got my attention. It's like, I've never been to a place where it's been this competitive. But, here's the thing I got to thinking about. They're not the youngest team in the league, but they're heading that direction. I mean, I looked at the 91-man roster, the 91 guys on here right now, and 44 of the 91 are under 25 years old.
Wow.
Just think about that. And I know, what does that mean when they get to 53? We'll have to see. But, you're going to have to – when you're an old head brought into the building as a free agent, you don't have that time there. You can establish yourself as a leader pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But, the Titans' old heads in this case would be Jeffrey Simmons and Amani Hooker and Morgan Cox. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, you got to do what you got to do to make things happen just because. And listen, the whole deal about switching up the locker room from being a positional locker room to having different positions at your left and right at your locker, it's nothing new. It's been done before. The Titans have done it before a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just a way to – because, and you can speak on this because you lived it for 11 years, but the offensive line is one of the tightest knit groups in the deal. And you guys break bread together, you hang out together, whatever. This is a way to get you away from a little of that and to get to know your teammate. Yeah. Whether it's a defensive guy next to you or just another position group on offense.
It makes you very fluid, too, like you said, as far as communication across the board. Being able to, and that's the biggest part I think that helped us more than anything, is being able to challenge the defensive side of the ball. Be able to trash talk and know that it's not because I dislike you. It's because, look, I know we're in this together. And it's because I know you now. Like, we've had different conversations.
And I want to bring out the best in you, and I want you to do the same.
Absolutely. The best way to build a team is have that type of transparency, right, where it's not offensive. Like, just because I call you out doesn't mean that you're trash or that I'm a bad teammate. It's because I know there's more there from you potentially, and I love the idea that we can be great teammates to one another. Like, if everything is cushy, you know how it is sometimes. If you don't break any eggs, man, like, you can't eat, essentially, is the way I look at this situation. If you can't challenge and be honest, that's the other part, too, that I don't think people pay attention to on teams, because as long as I'm getting paid or as long as I'm making my plays, no, it's more than you making your plays. It's more than the check that you're getting. This guy that's on the bottom of the roster is just as important to you on this team. So because of that, he needs to be able to speak to you, and you more importantly, gotta challenge him too. Like, it'd be one of those things sometimes we have guys like overly embarrassed, the practice squad guys or a young fella, and it can kill them. Like, it can ruin them. Like, if I can get you in practice and also say, man, but look, let me help you on how I beat you. That's how you facilitate that culture that continues on for years to come.
Well, and you're right, too, because if you look at a pie chart of how a salary cap team by team is divided up, obviously there's going to be some variances there.
Yeah.
But when you look at the vets and the position groups, it's obviously quarterback's going to be one of those, corner is going to be one of those, pass rusher, anyway, tackle. Then there's the rest of y'all.
Yeah. And
you need the rest of y'all to get it done. Yeah. Like, it's not, it goes beyond it takes all 11 for us to run the football. It takes everybody to do their part in whatever phase you're in. Yeah. And so if you don't foster that, see what I did there with your last name?
I like that right there.
I think it's a good idea what Brian Callahan's doing. Those kinds of things have been done before, and I think we'll see what the fruits of that are.
Yeah. You know who the bigger benefactors of this could be? The special teams. If all of those guys that got to play that role with Coach Bones Fossil understand how important they are then you eliminate those issues and also raise the expectation for those dudes too, to your point.
And I'm going to tell you something. I have not mentioned this enough of how excited I am that John Bones Fossil is here to run that phase.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best to do it, continually, annually, consistently. And he knows his guys. You know, he brings Renee Stewart with him from Dallas. And, of course, Renee was an Oiler here and played with Blaine and those guys in the secondary back in the day. But he knows what he wants. He knows what he's expecting. And I'm excited at how that phase will come along now to be something to help the other two phases on a regular basis. Because it is just ask Bill Belichick how important special teams is. I mean, you know.
Do we got to ask Jordan first?
Sure.
She's the only special team that he needs now, that's for sure.
Engaged.
That was well played by you.
Allegedly.
That was well played. But I mean, talking about, you find a Matthew Slater who played nearly 2 decades.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's what you have to have these guys.
You do.
You don't get the nickname Bones Fossil without being a dude.
Yeah.
True.
That's a sick name.
True. And his
Bones.
dad was a good coach.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for that phase of the Titans and to see the improvement and just to see what they do.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to see Morgan Cox.
Ball.
As long as he's been in the
Stalwart,
league.
too. I mean, just as dependable as you can set your clock by him.
Yeah, you can.
That's your guy.
Essentially what you look for. Consistency.
Coming up this morning with Rhett Bryan, we are continuing to look at draft classes around the NFL, going by a division, and taking a look next at another division the Titans will play in its entirety, the NFC West.
NFC West.
Sorry,
I had to throw a
no, that's great.
vocal sound.
That's good. I mean, you like Lee Moo this
Like
morning.
we're doing live imaging. NFC West.
I love that.
That's next.
Yeah, we'll talk about what they've done free agency and then go into the draft part to see how they've kind of assembled what may be their roster when the Titans get to them this fall.
And we'll do that next.
It's Ramon Foster for Secure Lawn. Hey, good people. I'm getting ready to talk to you people a lot like me right now. You walk around your yard every day getting mad when you see weeds. You obsessively care about your grass. Your spouse and your friends tell you talk about your grass more than you talk about anything. Your kids, your car, don't matter, man. It's because you want to be the envy of your neighborhood. You want to be the best lawn around. And I know there's a lot of pride that goes into it, especially in this middle of Tennessee where it's very competitive as far as the way your yards look. Well, Secure Lawn is a company you need to reach out to. They are only worried about making you a lifelong customer, and that means they provide you a prime service. And here's the cool part about it is this is a company that you know is going to be good because they've been around for a long time. They're celebrating serving Middle Tennessee for over 20 years. And lawns are what they do, and they are good at it. The family owned and operated. They're punctual, have a quick response time. And here's the thing, too. They're local, as I told you earlier. Their kids live in your community. Go to the schools that you go to. Shop at the places that you do. So you always want to do business with a local company like this. So whether you have a residential yard, commercial, or even athletic field, or whether you have fescue, Bermuda, or ryegrass, it doesn't matter. They will get you right, all right? Reach out to this company. You can call them at 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com.
Ramon and Will, 104.5 The Zone, brewed up by Scooter's Coffee. Go by and see them near you, locally owned in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. The Smyrna location about to be seeing me. If you've been listening to the show this morning, you know.
On your way to the borough.
That is right. Excited to stop by that location. It was quick yesterday. It'll be quick again today, as always, when I scoot on down there. In the fourth quarter of the show with Rhett Bryan in studio, talking this morning about the NFC West. Taking a look at some of the moves that teams have made this offseason, Rhett Bryan. And I'll tell you what, for me, the San Francisco 49ers are the team I think we are talking about the least as a contender this offseason, considering the reload that they have still done. Now, obviously, they got to stay healthy. But let's start with them, Rhett, because they did not have the season they wanted to last year. But I think according to strength of schedule metrics, they have the easiest schedule in the NFL this season.
Yeah, they finished 6-11 in their division, last place in the West. And I believe they had, I don't know that they may have traded one of those. They had one of 3 teams that had 11 picks in the draft. Their biggest thing is, Deebo Samuel gone to Washington to play for the Commanders. Brandon Ayuk is coming off of an ACL. And then they needed to look and see if they could find the heir apparent to Trent Williams, who just keeps doing it well, but is 37 years old, I think. About to be 37.
What a monster.
So what they did in free agency, Mac Jones signed a 2-year, $7 million deal to back up Brock Purdy, who just got the Brinks truck, from pick 262 to $265 million.
Thank you for the sound effects from.
That was a Brinks truck's back right there.
And it sounded like it needs some WD-40, but at least it was loaded with money.
I mean, at that point, does
you
it
buy all the WD-40 you want, right? I bought stock in that.
Bag secured, right?
But yeah, from pick 262 to $265 million, pretty wild. Kyle Juszczyk re-signed 2 years, $8 million. That's important to what they do, obviously. Demarcus Robinson, a 2-year deal to sign with them at wide receiver. I believe he was a Ram formerly, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yes.
And that speaks to that free agent problems that they were having with what the receiving core looked like. George Kittle, they re-inked to a 4-year, $76 million deal. And then the offensive line, they signed guard Ben Bartch to a 1-year deal. DJ Humphries, they signed as a free agent. They signed 2 former Titans, and Andre Dillard and Nicholas Petit-Frere.
I heard they're loving.
That's interesting.
They're loving that out there. I saw.
Fred Warner just made one of the highest paid linebackers, so they've done some recent contract stuff. But with the draft, it was interesting because what they did, what John Lynch did. That first 5 picks was all defense.
Yeah, man.
Reloading.
So Michael Williams, the pass rusher from Georgia, with the 11th overall pick. D-tackle Alfred Collins from Texas at pick 43. Linebacker Nick Martin from Oklahoma State at pick 75. Upton Stout, a local here, a safety that'll probably be a nickel corner from Western Kentucky at pick 100. C.J. West, the defensive tackle from Indiana at 113. And then they went a couple of picks there. Jordan James, Oakland High School, shout out.
Patriot.
Patriot. Oregon Duck goes and helps that backfield. Jordan Watkins, a receiver from Ole Miss, and then Curtis Rourke, the quarterback from Indiana later on. So, yeah, they did some stuff. Guard Connor Colby from Iowa. I was kind of surprised they did not take a tackle at some point, knowing that Trent Williams is 36, 37 years old. But I did find it interesting that first 5 picks were all on defense.
Yeah, it was, but it also, I think, at that point, it signifies what they realize what they're going to have to lean on. If I can play conspiracy theories for a little bit, with Ricky Pearsall being there, I guess is he wide receiver? No, Brandon Ayuk.
If he was coming off of an ACL injury.
Yes. Right. And Jawan being there also, and Christian McCaffrey. Like, I feel like with them putting the ball and bag into their quarterback's hand, Brock Purdy, I feel like they realize they got to go youth as far as the defense goes. You're seeing right now them shift the balance of offenses heavy as far as the salary goes, and need to shift it to the other side. So I think they went young with the linebacker, Nick Martin, getting him in the 3rd round. They went after some young, talented defensive linemen, too, to help sustain their expensive side of the ball and also help grow up and uplift Brock Purdy, because as good as he's been in the system, I do think there's a ceiling little bit lower with him leading the charge is the way I feel about it, until they get more dynamic playmakers on offense. That's how I somewhat look at them.
Makes sense.
And the Titans travel to Levi's Stadium Sunday, December the 14th to take them on. 3:25 Central kick.
Beautiful stadium.
Right here on 104.5 The Zone.
That is one team that has, one of the only teams that has a rest advantage over the Titans as well. Late bye week for San Francisco. They will have
week
a
13
bye
or 14.
in week 14.
So I think that's the last week you can have.
I believe
too,
so.
Right?
Yep.
I wonder what their flight schedule look like. I'm trying to look up their schedule right now. Like, how much are they coming to the? How much are coming to the East Coast?
A lot of 10 a.m. Pacific time games they got to play this year.
The first 2 weeks are at Seattle and then at New Orleans, which is, I think, cross country is the way you look at them. Was it about 3.5, 4 hours probably? San Fran to New Orleans.
Probably.
Yeah, depends on whether you have a good tailwind too.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have that to your advantage sometimes.
The LA Rams, Rhett Bryan, are reloading around Matthew Stafford, who flirted with the Giants, flirted with other teams at the NFL Combine, decided, let me run it back one more time. And the Rams, again, no longer live by the phrase bleep them picks. They moved back and accumulated more picks in the process. What stood out to you about their offseason?
So, 10-7 under Sean McVay, winners of the NFC West division. Their glaring needs going into the draft were off-ball linebacker, and that's a place where they hadn't really made investments. I mean, they traded Ernest Jones here, and then Ernest Jones goes to Seattle. We're going to talk about that in a moment, but and then 3 of their top defensive backs and their starting right tackle are a year away from free agency. And a similar story at tight end. They had 8 picks, and 4 of those were in round 6. So let's go to what they did in free agency first. So they bring back Jimmy Garoppolo on a 1-year deal to back up Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford agrees to a restructured contract, so that'll give them a little cap relief there. Devontae Adams, 2-year deal, $46 million. Chatarius Tutu Atwell re-signs a 1-year, $10 million deal.
It's a lot of money for him.
Yeah, it is. They re-signed tackle Alaric Jackson, 3 years, $57 million. Their center Coleman Shelton, they bring in a 2-year deal, $12 million on that. Laurel Murchison, I forgot he was there. And they signed Poona Ford, the D lineman, to a 3-year deal, $29 million. So anyway, that's kind of what they did in free agency. And then in the draft, they obviously did not have their first-round pick from previous trades. But in round 2, pick 46, Terrence Ferguson, the tight end from Oregon. I mentioned how they're about to have a lot of free agent departures potentially at the tight end position after the 2025 season. He's somebody that fits the bill for that. That's a weapon that Matthew Stafford and certainly Sean McVay can use to their advantage. A good prospect. So go to the third round. They take linebacker Josiah Stewart from Michigan, who's not an empty chair at pick 90. That was something they needed right there. At that position. And then Jarquez Hunter, who that was the first guy we interviewed at the Senior Bowl, the running back from Auburn.
It was.
And
a stud.
Pick 117 in round 4. And then Ty Hamilton, the defensive tackle from Ohio State, in round 5 at pick 148. Linebacker Chris goes by Pooh, like Winnie the Pooh, Pooh Paul from Ole Miss at 172. There's that off-ball linebacker stuff, and they took a more valued pick approach with that. And then Kanata Mumfield, the wide receiver from Pitt, as their last pick at 242. So they did some things to kind of re-bolster what they're doing. They need to get more help at the off-ball linebacker position. But look, as long as they have Matt Stafford and Sean McVay, which was everybody's darling all those years ago, they've got a chance to compete.
And they stacked this up, too, with last year with the defensive haul that they took to on the defensive line. Got a defensive rookie of the year.
Braden Fisk up there as well.
Yeah, what's the Florida State linebacker name?
Florida State linebacker?
Yeah.
Florida State D tackle is Braden Fisk.
No. Who was their first-round pick last year, the Rams? Won Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year. Didn't he? Hold up, let me find this real quick. I know I'm not
efforting.
We're efforting. When I say his name, you're going to know. Jared Verse.
Jared Verse, yeah, you're right.
Jared Verse.
They've got Jared Verse on one side, Byron Young on the other side with Braden Fisk in the middle.
Yeah, he was Florida State also. Yeah, there we go.
He was. You're right. You're right. Yep. So Rams obviously early in the season.
Yep, week 2.
Week 2
here,
home opener.
Noon kick Central, 10 a.m. Pacific for them, right here on 104.5 The Zone. As we continue.
A big test.
I like it.
For Young versus Young, for Peter and Braden Fisk, and I mean Dan and Jarrett Verse. Like,
how about Jarvis Brownlee? How about
dog?
Think of all that secondary against Puka Nacua and those guys, and a guy in Stafford who can deal it.
Yeah,
sure.
I was going to say with a veteran quarterback too. Do they have the best quarterback division? Just quickly before we move on,
NFC West,
most proven.
AFC West. Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Geno Smith, and Bo Nix.
I should rephrase, most proven there. They got the most amount of reps, I feel like, probably of any quarterback.
And then NFC West?
NFC West.
Sam Darnold, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, and
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Most experienced. Not greatest, but
I think the point is the Titans are playing a good quarterback schedule.
Got that Lowry seasoned salt all over the place.
I'm talking about some Cajun. I'm going to have a crab boil on Monday, by the way.
Get some Tony Chachere's.
I got some.
Put that stuff on everything.
I got some Lowry's chili lime seasoning the other day at the store.
Did you? Look at that. Squirrel.
And I think it's their answer to tahine. Is what I think it is.
No.
They put tahine on everything.
On some pineapples?
Sound like Travis Scott. Tahine.
Yes.
Anyway, that was halftime of our NFC West discussion. So the Arizona Cardinals will will host the Titans early in the season. They also draft with their first overall pick a Tennessee high school product in Powell High School, not Powell. Powell High School product, Walter Nolanville of Ole Miss. The Cardinals, Rhett, to me, are one of those teams that might be sneaky, that might be frisky. And old friend Monty Ossenfort, former deputy of John Robinson's, of course, here in Tennessee, has done a good job kind of slowly and surely building this thing up again, hasn't he?
And the other part, he absolutely has. And he's been the guy that's been, the trade man, and he didn't do as much of that in this draft. So
did,
9 and absolutely
crazy.
9 and 8 under Jonathan Gannon, third place in the division. So that they probably needed another quality starter for that offensive line to go to good. A burner at receiver was one of the things that was looked at. And they made big free agent moves on defense, but edge rusher, linebacker, corner were some of the things that were some of the team needs. So we look at Jacoby Brissett, who comes in to back up Kyler Murray on a 2-year deal. Zay Jones re-signs with a 1-year deal at wide receiver. They made Trey McBride the highest paid tight end at that point.
Right.
And they re-signed their tackle, Kelvin Beachum, signed Jake Curhan, a tackle, to a 1-year deal. A guard, Evan Brown, re-signed a 2-year deal, 11.5. They took Baron Browning as a good free agent pass rusher. He was one of their own free agents, re-signed 2 years, $15 million. Re-signed L.J. Collier, who they had drafted previously. Josh Sweat, 4 years, $76. Calais Campbell is 39, I think. Comes back to a 1-year deal. So you just kind of look at those things, and Walter Nolan from Powell, as you said, at pick 16, and look, everybody around here knows Walter Nolan's name. He was a 5-star, and all the things he went through in high school and hopping around here and there, and has a nice career for Ole Miss. And then they double down on that and take Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, who is, good-sized corner.
Potential steal if he's healthy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And that was the only reason they got him at 47. I think he would have been in the night one conversation. Yeah. Then they took linebacker Jordan Birch from Oregon and Cody Simon from Ohio State. And so, again, defense is where they were attacking this thing. And they were, here they are, another team that their first 5 picks were all, defensive picks. They took Denzel Burke, the defensive back from Ohio State, at 174. And then Katan Crawford from Nevada later on, and Hayden Connor, the guard from Texas. So that is a perfect example of a solid plan that what this draft was. It's a starter type draft. It's not a superstar laden draft. I think Walter Nolan could be a very nice piece for them up front with what they already have going on.
100%. I'm looking at what Oregon listed Jordan Birch as versus his combine. He's off by 2 inches and 20 pounds, man.
Oh, sure.
They had him at Oregon at 6'6", 290. Combine weight was 6'4", 279.
A little bit of a different human.
A little bit of a different human.
Just a bit outside.
Just a bit outside.
He's going to be fascinating, though. I will say
Yeah.
that. I didn't realize that linebacker, he was that big. He's an outside
Correct.
linebacker. Gotcha.
Correct. Week 5 at the house that Coach Mack built, October the 5th, Sunday, 3:05 Central kick here on 104.5.
Go to
The Zone.
Paradise Valley for me. That's all
And
I ask.
the Seattle Seahawks, Rhett Bryan, wrapping up the NFC West conversation. A trade partner for the Titans, of course. They move up to pick 35 with the Titans, but they get the big swing and the big name of free agency with Sam Darnold as their new QB.
Yeah, and so, Seattle 10-7 under first-year head coach Mike McDonald. They were second in the NFC West division last year, and they made the first major move of the offseason and free agent window when they traded Geno Smith to Denver and signed the guy that was the top quarterback in this, in Sam Darnold, as you mentioned. 3-year deal, $100.5 million. 37.5 in year one, 55 guaranteed. They bring back Drew Lock to back him up, who had spent time backing up Geno Smith there. Cooper Kupp and Marquez Valdez-Scantling were two guys that they brought in. Now, the question that you had there is, both of those guys have been dinged a little bit, and they're both over 30 years old. Mm-hmm. So is there, and obviously, so, they have a little bit of an age thing there. Tackle Josh Jones signs a 1-year deal. DeMarcus Lawrence comes over for a 3-year deal, $42 million. And they re-signed Ernest Jones, who the Titans sent that way for a 3-year, $33 million deal. And their needs coming into this, they needed better help along the offensive line in the interior. And again, I mentioned the two aging wide receivers and maybe getting a little younger there. And then Devin Witherspoon is the only Seattle starting caliber cornerback that's signed beyond the 2025 season. So what did they do in the draft? They worked on the interior of that offensive line with their first pick and Gray Zabel from North Dakota State, who came in listed as a guard, but they think he's a center. Yeah. And I think he can play either spot.
I do too.
And then they took the built-in-a-lab giant safety in Nick Emanwari at 35 from South Carolina. That dude is a big cat. Mm-hmm. And they took a bigger cat on offense to help their quarterback with that other second-round pick in tight end Elijah Arroyo from Miami at pick 50. And then they shocked people a little bit by taking Jalen Milroe, the quarterback from Alabama, in the third round at 92. And I thought that was an interesting selection there, but that's also that modern-day general manager thought of keep drafting. Mm-hmm. So Riley Mills, the DN from Notre Dame in round 5. Torrey Horton from Colorado State, like that pick.
Blazer.
That's a good pick at 166.
4.41 at the combine.
Yep. And so, and then they took Cam Ward's running back, Damian Martinez, in round 7 from Miami. And they took another one that I like that was a little under the radar, and that's Ricky White from UNLV, the receiver, at 238. So they had quite the offseason.
They did.
And Seattle, thank the good Lord, comes here in week 12, Sunday, November 23rd, just before Thanksgiving. That is a noon kick Central, 10 Pacific for them.
The Titans' most distant opponent in the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks.
That is quite a haul out there, even from here.
Yeah, right.
Like 5 hours and 20 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful up there.
It is.
Rhett Bryan, never distant from us here on Ramon and Will. We appreciate him Wednesdays at 9 o'clock. Good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Good to see you all.
All
right.
A little bit of midweek motivation from Inky Johnson. Plus, there is one NFL player who's not practicing, and I am trying to understand why. Ramon's going to try to tell me. Coming up next.
Having a good time. I'm having a good time is what I'm telling my guy right now, man. But also, if you want to have a good time in your backyard, listen to me. It's Ramon Foster. This is where All American Pest Control can help you. I was done with mosquitoes ruining my backyard fun, and I found a solution to you. Let me tell you about Mosquito Max from All American Pest Control. All American's Mosquito Max is your one-stop proven solution for mosquitoes and year-round pest prevention. All right, save money and say goodbye to itchy bites. All Americans Mosquito Max includes monthly mosquito misting, spider web removal, and perimeter pest control around your home. So make the change and finally enjoy your backyard. Don't let mosquitoes ruin your summer. I'm sure not going to let it happen to us at the Foster residence. All right, so go to yuckbugs.com. That's yuckbugs.com and make the switch to All American Pest Control today.
Ramon Will wrapping up the show on 104.5 The Zone, brewed up by Scooter's Coffee. We're going to get Ramon back in his seat now. Apparently the other seat. Never mind. Musical chairs this morning. In the meantime, I will. Yes, I got you. Justin talking to my ear. Yes, I. In the middle seat over here is where we need you. He's getting there. By the time the show is over, Ramon will be properly seated, just in time to get back up and have the Buck Rising show, the Lucas Panzica show, with Robert Walsh come back in here. So, Shamar Stewart isn't practicing in Cincinnati.
Yeah, man.
What's going on? What is the holdup on rookies signing contracts in today's NFL, Ramon Foster?
It's something about his practice time or the structure of bonus. It's one or the other in this situation, and clearly his agency doesn't feel comfortable with what they're providing him in his contract, and that's fair. Like, as far as the money, I don't think this is a money situation. It seems to be a protection of injury situation for him more than anything.
Interesting.
So it's fascinating that I don't know what Cincinnati has to gain from keeping something in or out of his contract that's not money-based.
Sure.
But it's a fascinating approach to, well, it just doesn't give much I guess credit to them or grace to them is what I want to say because of what they're doing with Trey Hendrickson contract also.
Yeah.
That's the problem that they have. It's messy. It's just like one of those, there's Cincinnati doing that thing again.
Right? So Kelsey Conway, friend of the show, Cincinnati Inquirer, reported on Tuesday that he wants his contract to look like Cincinnati's last 2 first-round picks, both of whom were taken number 17 overall. Zach Taylor said after practice there is no update yet, but that he has done a great job in meetings. And that's what they all say. NFL also with a rule change this morning. The onside kick will happen at the 34-yard line instead of the 35. Okay.
I'm lost on that one.
So NFL owners also say that teams can declare onside kicks at any point during a game if they are trailing, not just fourth quarter.
Trailing. I mean, we high school coaches do that all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, or middle school coaches too. So I get that one. Declaring it, I feel like you should. I liked the element of surprise.
Tennessee might have had a loss to Indiana in the Taxslayer Bowl had they not been able to have a surprise onside kick against Buck Rising's Hoosiers a few years back.
This is very true.
Back in 2019 and the early 2020, pre-COVID. So an extra yard advantage now for the kick team on NFL onside kicks who can line up at the 34-yard line.
That's fascinating. I wonder what that yard does for them.
We're about to find out.
Yeah, we are about to find out. 34. This. I wonder did they take this from like the UFL for them to be in this position right now?
Maybe.
As it pertains like those little small things. By the way, their production of what they're doing to incorporate is good.
It's great.
The play may not be as great as you want it to be, but the production of it is really good.
So there you go. That is Rule Change Wednesday in the NFL. Coming up tomorrow, we will have Coach Dave McGinnis on the program. Going to get back into a hypothetical question, something we're doing all summer for the NFL and for the Titans. I've actually not even told Ramon that I think we're going to do this tomorrow.
What's up with that?
We're asking what-if questions. What if Cam Ward wins Rookie of the Year? What does that mean for the Titans? We'll do that tomorrow morning here on the show. But right now, we go to the phones where our good friend Inky Johnson is here live with us to provide us a little bit of midweek motivation. Inky, what's going on, sir? How are you?
What's going on, guys? Great to be on.
Yes, sir. Good to have you.
How are you all, man?
We're good.
Man, we holding it down. We ain't Inky Johnson cool, but we all right.
Oh, y'all better than me, man. Y'all better than me. But, man, it's an honor to be on, man. I want to share a quick message, man, and get out you guys here. Yesterday, my son, he was prepping. He was doing his little graduation, 8th grade graduation practice. And so all of the parents were sitting in the parking lot waiting on the kids to get done. And so as we're sitting in the parking lot waiting on the kids to get done, you know, certain parents are talking, you know, sharing different memories, things of that nature. And so like an hour and 15 minutes go by, kids come out of the building, ready to go. And everybody was so excited, right? Everybody was elated, man. And so kids are getting in the car, getting ready to pull out of the parking lot. And everybody hears a big bang. Talking about, you just hear it, bang. And everybody is looking, hands over the mouth, people holding their heads. And it's an accident, right? kids get in an accident, parents get in an accident right after graduation practice. And when I look back, the two people that got in an accident, I was just looking at them. I was just watching them talk to each other. I was just watching them share laughs, share memories. And right after the accident, when they stepped out of the car, their whole demeanor was different. I'm talking about the whole encounter was different. And it made me think about something, man, like our peace, our happiness, our joy gets hijacked every single day from situations, from circumstances, from encounters. I always say to myself, just personally, like, make the decision to be grateful today. Make the decision to have a great day. Make the decision to be happy today. Like, I'll never forget, man, like me and my son, when he was younger, we went out and my wife would do these deals to where she would say, okay, we're having a father-son day, a mommy-daughter day. And so me and my son went out. We had our little day. We go out and we have a great day, man. And we come home, and when we come home, I hear water. I could just hear it as soon as I step in the house. I don't know about any of you guys, but when you hear water, it just makes you feel a certain type of way. And so when we stepped in the house, I hear the water. I can hear it. And I'm like, man, where's this water coming from? And I'm searching, and I go up to his room, and my man left the water on. And it's ran over the faucet, the sink. It's coming down through the ceiling, and it's pouring. And right away, man, my whole demeanor changed, right? I start to get upset at him. You know, I'm like, man, how could you? And we just had a great day. But I allowed a situation and a circumstance to hijack my peace, to hijack my happiness, to hijack a special moment and special day. And so today, and to have a great day, don't allow situations, circumstances, moments, and encounters to hijack that. Go be great, man. That's my time. Peace.